Welcome to First Robotics Game Day. We are at St. Joseph High School in Southwest Michigan, a district event featuring 40 high school teams and their first competition of the year. We welcome you inside. Dan Gutowski along with Dan Kimura. Michelle McMahon will join us in just a little bit. Dan, first off, all these high school kids have been working so hard the last few months, working on building these robots. Today, our first chance to see them. What are we going to see?
Yeah, I mean, so first we have to point out, right, it's a new game every year. They didn't even know what sport their robot was going to have to play until January when we had our kickoff event, and that's where we had the big game reveal. So since then, they've been working nonstop to try to get the robot finished, programmed, wired, ready to go for this event here. And we're now down to the elimination round, so this is going to be the top 8 alliances, top 24 teams out of our 40 teams here today that are going to be competing in a best 2 out of 3 knockout tournament to see who our champion is.
So these kids and their coaches have been working like gangbusters trying to get these robots ready. Let's get an explanation of how this game will unfold today.
Welcome to Infinite Recharge, the first robotics competition game for 2020. This game is played on a 27 by 52 foot field. Matches are going to be 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. The first 15 seconds of which are autonomous. That means the drivers cannot be touching their controls, and all of the robot actions have to be pre-programmed. After that 15 seconds ends, we'll have 2 minutes and 15 seconds of driver control. In autonomous, there are a couple different ways that you can score points. The first thing is that white line going across the middle of the field. If your robot completely clears that line, you're going to get 5 points. Any balls you shoot are going to be worth 3 points in the top goal, 3 points in that inner goal on the top, 2 points in the top goal, and 1 point in the bottom goal. Once the drivers take control, we call that teleoperated mode, the points are worth half as much. So 3 points for that upper inner goal, 2 points for the upper goal, and 1 point for the low goal. So teams are going to spend the majority of the match running back and forth and getting these balls. We call them power cells and scoring them. Once they've scored enough, if you score 29 balls, you'll unlock the ability to rotate this color wheel for 10 bonus points if you spin it between 3 and 5 times. If you score another 20 balls and you place it on the right color, you'll get 20 points for that. Then we have the end game. At the end of the game, we have these giant hangers. We call them switches. Robots hanging on that are going to get 25 points apiece. If you get that bar level, within 8 degrees of level, once all the robots are hung and it's come to a rest, you're going to get a bonus 15 points. And any robots parked in the area underneath that switch are going to get 5 points for their alliance.
So that's how we're going to play this. Michelle McMahon will join us when we come back. It's the first Robotics Game Day district event from St. Joseph High School in Michigan.
DTE believes leaders are defined by doing what's right, not what's easy. So we're tripling renewables and cutting carbon emissions in half over the next 10 years and using cleaner natural gas. Working even harder to create a future where producing affordable, reliable energy doesn't contribute to climate change. Because to lead, we have to do what's right. DTE.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. It pioneers. Genius takes teamwork. It takes patience. It doesn't throw in the towel. It keeps going. Past obstacles, past failures. Until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project from Consumers Energy, our educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Like our sponsorship of Michigan First Robotics. Together, we can fuel the next generation of talent in Michigan. Discover the genius in all of us at consumersenergy.com/genius.
First Robotics Game Day in Michigan is brought to you by DTE Foundation, Dow Chemical, Ford Motor Company, and Consumers Energy. Count on us. Everyone back in their seats, getting set for our first quarterfinal match. Before we start that up, let's bring in the third member of our broadcast, Michelle McMahon.
Thanks, Dan. Electrifying, vibrant, epic. Those are just a couple of the words that these competitors use to describe what the atmosphere is like here on Robotics Game Day. I also had a chance to catch up with some parents in the crowd moments before this. They said their kids are spending over 20 hours a week the past 6 weeks to put these robots together. That's over 120 hours if you're doing the math correctly, and now they get to enjoy the fruits of their labors. Of course, events like this would not be able to take place without our sponsors in the Whirlpool Corporation is headquartered here in St. Joseph, and they have been integral with their support for these kids and for these teams. And I had a chance to catch up with their vice president, Jeff Knoll, on what the atmosphere is like from his perspective. Let's have a listen back.
I'm from Kentucky. I love Kentucky basketball. I was at the game last week. Let me tell you something. This rivals it. And what is amazing is the energy and the excitement goes on for 8-9 hours a day, not just for a 2-hour period. It's wonderful.
What is the significance for you? As the VP of Whirlpool, you guys are headquartered here. This is obviously very local for you. But what is the significance and the passion for you to be supporting something like this?
At Whirlpool, we just want to make sure that we improve life at home. And the best way to do that is to make sure that young people have all the opportunities they deserve. And this is a great program that they can explore all kinds of things. They can learn problem solving. But most importantly, it's a great way for them to connect with what they might want to do in the future. And I wish they had it when I was going to school, let me tell you.
How does this translate to real-life action, to what you see your engineers doing at your company and what these kids are looking ahead to when it comes to their employment?
Well, if you had a chance to speak with probably our 100 engineers that are volunteering for this event and with the teams, they tell you the best thing about the kids is they work together as a team, but they also have no boundaries in terms of what they're thinking, and they actually show what innovation and problem solving is about. Not having limitations or preconceived notions, but using the energy and the process to think through and to think as a team. If you do that with an engineering group, if you do that with any team of employees, you're going to have a successful company.
Yeah, and to your point, constructing robots in a 6-week time frame to compete at the level that they are really is a challenging feat. So for you, what is the most impressive aspect when you're looking at these kids and the body of work they put together? What's the most impressive thing for you?
It is about teamwork, because we're there when they announced what's going to be done for the year, and to see them go together as a team, start dividing up some of the issues and what they have to do, it really is an amazing thing. But then also to see what they actually have assembled and the precision of these machines, it's exciting, but it also tells us that there's going to be wonderful opportunities for these young people and wonderful results that go along with it.
Oftentimes it's the mentors that are helping the students during these processes, but what have the engineers from your company been saying, what they've learned working with these kids through the last couple of weeks and years?
First of all, it's the enthusiasm that becomes contagious for our engineers and the folks that work with these kids. But it's also finding kind of a renewed spirit that you can take on a problem and you can make it fun in terms of how you go about dealing with it. And also it's back to this issue of just simply explore and innovate and have no boundaries on what it is that you can do.
How important is it for companies like yours, like DTE and the other sponsors of these kind of events, to support programs like these that support the students that will eventually be feeding into our society in years to come?
Well, we have 9 U.S. factories. We have over 4,000 people here in this community. And we just know that our employees love to give back, but they also like to do it in a way that makes a difference. The kids here today and the people here supporting it, they're making a real difference, because young people are going to be given a better opportunity of exploring not only what they want to do, but being successful at doing it.
All right, since we're gearing up for game action, if you were to give them some advice and words of wisdom leading into today's competition, what would you tell these kids today?
Just go after it. I mean, I'll tell you something. There's no trophies given just by being here. You have to have a spirit of winning and have that competitive nature, and these kids have it.
It's like making learning a sport, right? It's so much fun.
It is a sport, and let me tell you something. Just get this energy. It's like Kentucky basketball. It's all about winning.
Hey, that's high praise right there. We will take it. Jeff, thank you so much for the time, and we will send it to break now. Quarterfinal action coming your way right after this.
Well, we are just about ready to go here with some things happening before we started at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Teams having to get together and compile a draft strategy to select who they're competing with in each alliance. Let's get some insight as to how these teams went through that process.
So heading into the alliance selection, we're kind of approaching this the same way we do, no matter if we're ranked first or if we're ranked 40th. We always go into an event scouting, so we have a set of 6 scouters going, and we're looking for what robots are doing. And just like for us, we do the same thing that many other teams choose to do, is we watch all of the robots and we make a pick list based on that, and that changes every single competition. We're never looking for the same thing. We're looking for robots that complement us, which is generally what other teams are doing here as well. We're trying to find who fills the gap that we need in order to create the best alliance.
So on our team, we're trying to find other robotics teams that can complement our robot skills. So for us, that's shooting further back along the field, because we're really good at shooting closer to the field. And on the other hand, climbing at the end. We want someone who can balance us out so that we get the points for balancing on the scale.
What's the biggest challenge when it comes to this current selection for this competition?
I think it's finding a robot that's well-rounded enough to hand the defense we might get from the other alliance, as well as be able to shoot enough to accumulate enough points for us to do well in the end.
All right, Nadine, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
Here's the way the first quarterfinal matches up, or actually all the brackets here. Dan, we got some familiar names, some teams that we know fairly well from years past. How about some new teams that maybe are just kind of making an impact?
Yeah, well, looking right at our 8-versus-1 matchup, that's the quarterfinal we're going to see first here. 5980 is a team that's had a little bit of success in the last few years, but a pretty young team and not one of our powerhouses. They're, of course, partnered with 2 of the kind of strongest veterans in Michigan. 2767 has 2 world championships, Strike Force. And they'll be going up against a pretty big underdog here, but 4409 has been playing well this weekend so far and can definitely put up some points of their own.
You know, it's funny, back to those 2 interviews we just saw from Michelle, all these kids, you know, we're talking about robots and mechanical engines and whatnot, but really it's the human element that really makes this so different for them. There's still a lot of you know, thought that goes into it, not just how you can build machines, but, you know, how you're scouting and looking at all these other teams that you might be joining forces with.
Yeah, for sure. Strategy, driver practice, all of those pieces are almost as big as the quality of the robot itself. So we always say, like, you can have an average robot that's driven and strategized really well, beat a great robot that's driven poorly.
And they have to work together. The robots have to complement each other as to what they do when they're on the floor.
Yeah, one of the things we're going to see is this field is very narrow in the places the robots want to be. So you got to make sure you're not getting in the way of your partners.
Yeah, we look at the playing field with that big giant structure in the middle. You can see there all the balls that are, you know, on the ground on the perimeter of that, on the inside of the game field. That's a little different in years past. Usually there's kind of a wide open area in the middle, but this year it's kind of contained, and you can see that those ridges, the blue and red panels there in the middle, those might be hard for some robots to navigate, right?
Yeah, so last year the field was pretty much flat, so teams are not used to this. They look small, but those are steel bars, and if you don't leave enough ground clearance or you don't have the right wheels on your robot, you might have some trouble maneuvering through that middle area. So defense in the center is going to be interesting to watch as well.
Yeah, we will see robots tip. Certainly not a strategy, but it can happen. And we are set to start this autonomous period, only 15 seconds, and pretty much every robot is pre-programmed. And again, the objective, fire off those yellow balls and get them in that net.
Take a look here on our right, the Red Alliance, 2337 is not moving. They shot their balls, they got loaded by their partner, then shot their partner balls as well. They're a very accurate shooter. They made some of those in that inner goal. Again, that small circle inside the goal is worth 6 points in auto, 3 points in teleop.
95 seconds for the autonomous period. Now the drivers are going to work. You can see them behind the glass. Their job is to direct those robots, scoop up those sponge balls, and fire them away into their respective openings.
And so we have 5182 and 4409. It's going to be ground zero, and the Chiefinators playing offense for blue. And it looks like they've sent 8342 MHS on defense over here. We'll see if they can be effective against the big guns. I mean, Strike Force right there.
3 in a row.
But did get hit. They missed the last one.
Okay.
And we'll see the Engineers now, 2337, trying to get in position.
Yeah, these early rounds of these events, we never really know which robot, which alliance is going to maybe make a splash and do some things that are surprising early.
Yeah, so there's always going to be some surprises. Obviously, our number 1 seed here, presumably the top 2 robots at the event, should be able to take this match fairly easily, and they are up by 60 points right now.
So again, we can see a fairly efficient job by the Red Alliance. Blue Alliance, kind of struggling a little bit. We can see Ground Zero together in that far corner with the MHS 2020 robots. And they will have an uphill battle. This is a sizable gap of 50 points with about 40 seconds left.
Yeah, some good shots there by 4409. They're in a protected area, so that taped area that they just shot from in blue tape, and they just pulled right back in there in the middle of our field here. That is called the trench. If you're inside that area, you're generally protected from defense.
Now these teams, the Red Alliance, moving in, getting ready for the center structure climb. This could get them upwards of maybe 25 points if they can hang from that center structure bar.
25 points a robot. So we see 2 robots go up for red, and blue's got 1 up. 5182 could not get the hook in time. So some things to note, that bar is not level. If they can hang sort of the same distance apart so that hanger stays level within 8 degrees, they would have gotten 15 bonus points. So 50 points, 25 apiece for 2 hanging robots, but they miss out on the level when I think it was East Grand Rapids couldn't hang on the other side.
Yeah, in previous years, we've just had like little platforms that they've had to climb, so each robot can go at their own time. This time, there's got to be some symmetry, and they've got to all go together, right?
Yeah,
to get the most points.
And you can see, like, so that the 2337 robot here in red, right in the middle, they have hooks that go on either side of that bar. So if they hang alone, it's going to be balanced. But in this case, with Strike Force hanging on the left, they needed East Grand Rapids to hang on the right to counteract that weight, and it wasn't quite there. The hook didn't land for East Grand Rapids.
And that all goes back to how conscious these coaches and kids are of how they're going to build these robots the right way to be, to get the most possible points they can in every event.
Yeah, and that also goes back to that planning, right? So they were probably picked for that ability to hang on the side. And we can see it's going to be a red victory.
Well, 146 points to 71 for the Blue Alliance. So, well, they're not the number 1 seed by accident. And with big robots like Strike Force and Engineers kind of leading the way, that's business as usual for them, right?
Yeah, for sure. You can see it in the power cell count. 83 points from power cells. That's scoring those balls in the goal. 83 to 26 on that line on our scoreboard. So a big advantage there. They made some more up in endgame, 50 to 30, but...
So here's our highlights as we take a look. This is the Engineers robot at the bottom of the screen. Again, just efficient.
So that was East Grand Rapids. So they actually were picked for their ability to drop those balls in the low goal. Kind of staying out of everybody else's way, but those balls are still worth points down there.
And there's the climb.
Yep. We can see they've already kind of given up. Smart move there by that East Grand Rapids team in red at the very bottom of the screen. They pulled out of the way. So you have to be a little careful, because if you're contacting robots that are hanging and you're doing it in a way that the referee decides is supporting them,
an advantage,
that will negate the hang.
Right.
So backing out, if you stay underneath them, you're going to get 5 points. Backing out means you protect the 50.
Every point counts, and there's our scoreboard with the Red Alliance doubling up on the Blue Alliance. And every point counts. We'll address that a little bit later on as, every opportunity for your robot to score is going to have meaning.
Yep, and we can see 3 penalty points here. So penalties in FRC, First Robotics Competition. They're not going to take points away from your alliance. If you have a penalty, it's going to give points to the other alliance. So that 3 penalty points, you actually are not allowed to reach up for that hanging bar until the final 30 seconds of the match. They went up a little bit too early, and so that was going to be that 3-point penalty.
So a little downtime now with a quick review of the robots that just competed, and we'll have our second quarterfinal match coming up in just a bit. But yeah, lots to do between these quarterfinals. Obviously, there's always going to be room for improvement. The best teams are always looking to build off of what they've already done.
For sure.
Let's go back, get back downstairs and rejoin Michelle McMahon talking with one of the winners from the Red Alliance.
Yes, Anna meets us once again from Team 2337. What was the overall impression from how that match one went down?
Ultimately, the match went very well. We had a few setbacks, but ultimately our team came together and we were able to work well as an alliance, which is what it takes to win, and we were really proud of that. So,
what were the biggest setbacks that you mentioned?
We had a little bit of issues with climb and a little bit of jamming issues, but ultimately nothing we couldn't overcome. So,
what are going to be the biggest improvements before the next match?
Just keep working together as a team. This was our first match all working 3 together, and so just making sure that we can continue to work well together and work as a seamless unit.
Yes, how do you feel about that alliance selection now that you guys are working together and forming that synergy?
It's working really well. We are very excited about the teams that were able to join our alliance, and we have a great feeling about it. So,
give us a sense on the sideline, what's happening during these competitions, what you guys are saying to each other, what's the interaction?
Well, we're all working really hard together. The 3-year teams are all making sure that everyone has parts. No one is just trying to fend for themselves, but we're also working with other alliances to make sure that they're performing at their top, because we don't want to win on someone else's malfunction. We want everyone to come and have a great time, just like we are. So we're really proud of it.
Love it. Anna, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, thanks, Michelle. One question as we roll into our second quarterfinal match with the Blue Alliance, made up of Robo Herd, Robo Rangers, and the Charge. Some newer names we're not familiar with.
Yep. A few veterans there. Pretty strong showing from these robots here. Remember, this is going to be our number 4 versus number 5 matchup. Number 4, the higher seed will always be wearing the red bumpers. So this could be a close one.
This one, though, Red Alliance. Names we know: Average Joe's, Tech Fights, Team Lancebot. Fresh.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we're going to look at those top 2 teams first, Tech Fights and Average Joe's. So that's the captain and the first pick on this alliance. Those robots have been firing a lot of balls. They've been picking up a lot of balls and firing a lot. Their accuracy is the question mark. So if they can start putting those on target, they can put up a pretty big score.
One question about the alliance selection process. Is it important? I mean, you can see a good robot and go, hey, that's a good robot. We like the way it runs. Is it important for these kids to interact with the drivers of those robots and figure out, hey, are we symmetrical that way too?
Yeah, it helps a lot. I mean, a lot of times that works the opposite direction. So if you have a bad experience with somebody, if you can't work well with somebody, that might move them down on your pick list. And then, if you have a great experience with somebody, they just seem to work together well, know what you're thinking, be in the right place at the right time, that moves them up a few spots too. But robot quality tends to be the highest weighted factor. So you're not going to pick somebody scoring 5 balls less a match just because you work well together.
And you're not just picking robots because you like the people that run them.
No.
The robots have to be the best.
Yeah, so for my team, that was always sort of the tiebreaker. If there are 2 robots that are about the same in skill and quality, and there's a team that we know we work well with, that's the team we're going to pick.
All right, one quarterfinal in the books. Our second quarterfinal, maybe a little bit more evenly matched, a 4 seed against a 5 seed. And off we go in autonomous, 15 seconds of uncontested shooting.
Yep, 36-20 here in red in the front court. Shot 3 balls, went and picked up 3 more. If they can get back and shoot these, it's going to be worth a lot of points. Made 1 of 3. Still an extra 4 points there.
Now we go, Telly out. And again, this is kind of important to get an early push, especially for the Red Alliance. You want to get your game on and locked in early in these quarterfinal events.
Yep. Good barrage right at the beginning by Tech Fights. 42-37 now, adding some for Red.
Right.
Yep. And Average Joe's are back here. They're going to shoot again too. So this looks like Red is going all out. 3 robots on offense. Blue looks like they're going to counter, sending 51-10 Robo Herd over to try to play some defense.
Little separation for Red Alliance and some misfiring by the Charge robot from Herbert Henry Dow High School. And they're losing some valuable time and not getting much offense. Only 1 active shooter right there, as it's Robo Rangers for the Blue Alliance.
Yep. Accuracy a little bit off there, right? Made it about half those shots. but able to pick them up off the floor pretty quickly.
And the 26-19 robot, the charge for Blue Alliance, kind of struggling to move quickly, move efficiently, and get into position.
Yeah, the way that robot's driving it, it looks like there may be a drivetrain issue. You can see the constant turning. And something is on the field.
One of the panels came off the side.
Yep.
Opposite the scores table. They quickly scrambled to get that reconnected. I don't see that happen too often.
No. Those should be held on by 120-pound zip ties, so they shouldn't come off too easily. But
well, they're going to get some new zip ties.
Yep.
Red Alliance ready to start to hang. And they've got all three in position, so we'll see who can execute here when they go to the center structure.
We'll see. They all want to set their hooks before anybody starts lifting.
And off they go. Red Alliance looks like they might get all three off the ground.
Yeah, I think
Blue
they got
Alliance
it.
only has two.
And blue, we can see, is not level. Red is very close to level. So you can see 2054 Tech Bikes, they hung on the outside edge of that hangar. There's a wheel on their hangar. They actually drove their robot in while the thing was in the air, and that brought it back to level. So we can see that hangar there, definitely within 8 degrees of level. They're getting the 15 bonus points. So that's going to be a 90-point endgame right there.
Yeah, 15 points just for leveling that center structure bar. So another dominant performance by a Red Alliance group, led by Average Joes and Tech Bikes.
Yep, looks like this is going to probably be another comfortable win for the higher seed. But we do have to wait and see. A lot of the time, the final referee penalties won't be entered. None of these endgame hanging points would have been entered in our real-time scoring, so surprises can happen.
So the 4 seed and the 5 seed go head-to-head, and man, the Red Alliance piling up points. They will win handily. Blue Alliance really did pretty well, all things considered point-wise.
Yeah, blue played pretty well. Again, we had some accuracy issues shooting on that blue goal, but they put up a decent number.
And this is Robo Herd as we take a look.
Yep, so those low goals only worth 1 point, but they're going to add up. And then you can see them coming back across, trying to play some defense. 36-20, though, getting their shots off before the defense can get to them there. Here we can see, you know, that's what they got to do. They got to stay on these robots the whole time. So 51-10 there, Robo Herd, good job there. And this is where blue needs to get better. You know, we saw 1 in, 2 misses, and they have to be, you know, higher percentage than that. You know, you want to be shooting well over 50%. This is not, you know, a basketball kind of game where 40-50% shooting is excellent. We need to be closer to 90%. And watch now Tech Bikes here, 2054 on the right edge. They're all the way on the end, and now they're sliding over with that powered hanger wheel, and that's what brings the bar back to level. So that little move there at the end was worth 15 points for them.
Here's our final numbers, 192 points.
Yep, again, a huge power cell advantage. We see our number 4 alliance not quite as good on the power cells as our number 1 alliance from the last match, but 90 endgame points is a perfect endgame. You can't do better than that. 15 points in penalties, another thing to watch out for on the field. There are taped off areas, either red or blue, and those areas are protected in slightly different ways, but if you're in those areas, you can't get hit. If you do get hit, it's a technical foul, which is 15 points for the other alliance. Both alliances had one of those penalties, kind of offsetting.
Let's go down in the pits and rejoin Michelle.
Guys, thanks so much. Alex DeGraves from Team 2054 joining me now. The reaction was priceless when you guys got 3 bots up on the scale. What was that like from your perspective?
It was incredible. Coming from all the way over at the stands, it's almost a completely different world down here, and it's just incredible to watch it from a whole new perspective.
You guys put up 192 points. What created the edge in this matchup?
I think a lot of it was what the robots we have are. The robots we have are all really good with their shooters and can get the balls up in the goals very, very consistently. On top of that, we all have a really good climbing mechanism. So I think that really just helped us secure all those points.
Yeah, why does this alliance work so well together? What is it about each robot that works well in a synergistic form?
I think a lot of it is some similarities between our robots because we all have accurate shooting mechanisms. They all can put up the points really, really fast, really, really consistently. I think that just makes a lot of the points and a lot of what we did out there.
Okay, so bring us back into the huddle after that one. What was the team reaction when you guys are forming together for the first time? You're succeeding. What was happening in that moment?
It was a rush. We were all just high-fiving, jumping around, celebrating, yelling at the top of our lungs. It's indescribable, really.
All right, Alex, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck to you guys in the next round.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, Michelle, thank you. Yeah, the energy of what transpires down in the pits with these kids and all that adrenaline that kicks in really makes it unique.
And it's the first match that those three robots played together, right? So they formed this alliance. That was the first match. So it's good to get a strong score out, a good performance. They executed their end game exactly to plan. That's going to help calm the nerves and maybe give them, more confidence moving forward.
So here's our third quarterfinal. And our Blue Alliance featuring B.O.B. Built on Brains, Turbulence, and Ramageddon.
85, one of the oldest teams in the state. You can tell lower team number generally means older team.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, Red Alliance has the Globetrotters and Counter Torque Robotics and Hammerheads. We talked with Gail Alpert, who is the czar, really. It's not her official title, but
president of First in Michigan.
Right. First Robotics Game Day is all really driven by her energy and passion. But she said this year there's 50 more teams that are adding to the overall pool of competitors throughout the state of Michigan.
She's going to be upset because I don't know the exact number, but we're in the upper 400s now. I think we're over 500 actually.
Best in the country?
Highest number of any state in the country.
And I think California's number 2. It's close, correct. But we lead.
Yep.
And away we go with this third quarterfinal. Pretty straightforward planning in the autonomous mode. And Blue Alliance comes out with a bang. 51 points. That's a 7 seed against a 2 seed.
There was some ball jamming on the right goal, so some of those balls came through a little late, but still a blue advantage. Not as big as we saw.
Now we get down to business in the teleop.
And it'll be interesting to see. So it looks like both of these alliances are going to play 2 on offense, 1 on defense. We've got 65-88 Counter Torque Robotics for Red playing defense, and at the same time 56-10.
Yeah, Turbulence trying to play some defense, not successfully though. Red Alliance is neck and neck. Both teams at about 55 points with 100 seconds left.
Yeah, you could see that on our right-hand side, 226. They've got a swerve drive. What that means is they can orient the drive wheels in any direction. So you see them kind of float around the field, but they're also going to have some effective spin moves here.
Red Alliance trying to defend over in that upper right corner.
And the 59-27, it looks to have an issue right now. Again, that's not the way they've been driving for the rest of the tournament. Something is not operating correctly on that robot.
Yeah, anytime you see a stationary robot, you know there's some anxiety going on in the pits. 60 seconds left. Red Alliance up about 20 points. And again, that 226 robot, Hammerheads, going a little bit too high.
They're like really parking right up against the wall. The downside to that is the goal is very small from that angle. You don't have a lot of room to miss, but they had that shot dialed in pretty well.
That time they're going to get 1 of 2 and try and get a third one up, and they do successfully. So they got a lead. It's not a big one. We're inside 30 seconds. That means we're getting closer to the center structure hanging.
We got both robots on blue, 85 and 48, 55, kind of getting a last-second salvo off before they go hang, but they might have waited too long. Only 10 seconds left. I don't think they're going to get another hanging robot.
Yeah, Red Alliance only has the one robot that's going to hang, and that is the Hammerheads. 2 of them left out. Blue Alliance, though, well, they try to get 3, but they only get 1 as well.
Yeah, I wonder if the Blue Alliance, that might have been strategic. They kept shooting late in the match. They weren't lining up to hang, so they might have decided that they were better off just going for the parks. But on red, you know, I'm surprised. I think that might be somewhat the issue that we were seeing, you know, with 5927 earlier, because they are a robot that has been climbing quite well this tournament.
So these district events are all the starting point of a build towards the state finals, which will happen in early April. But here's our highlights from this quarterfinal number 3.
Good shooting in autonomous mode there by the 2 red robots. And now that was 65-88, stopping 85 from getting back to reload. You know, every second helps on defense. If you can slow them down by a few seconds every time they come past you, that makes a difference at the end.
And that Blue Alliance robot, Ramageddon, or sorry, that's BOB built on brains right here.
See, this was that salvo at the end of the match by Blue. You know, and that might have been enough to get them the lead in the match. I think they shot 5 or 6 balls there right at the end before going in parking, which we're seeing now. A little bit of trouble. That's what we're talking about. 48-55 there, kind of hung up on that steel bar. I mean, it's like an inch tall, but that's a big thing for some of these robots.
Well, these matches have been getting closer, these quarterfinal events, and this one is just enough for a Blue Alliance win. We'll look at the numbers in just a moment here, but at these early events, you never quite know which robot's going to perform well, and sometimes the scores can tend to be a little bit lopsided, but this one, only a 5-point win for the Blue Alliance, so both alliances doing very well.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what we were talking about. So they put 4 or 5 balls in that outer goal at the end. That's going to be 2 points a ball, 8 to 10 points, and that was enough to turn the match around. So good job by their coaches, their strategists, watching the score, knowing we need these balls to score to win this match, and then executing on that.
Back down to the pits we go as we rejoin Michelle McMahon.
Guys, thanks so much. The mastermind behind the strategy at the end there, Julian, joining us now from his team. What was spoken about at the end of that match? You guys were trailing, and then you decided, instead of hanging, to go more of the shooting route.
We decided that we'd be able to score more points if we shot rather than hung, because we have a higher success rate with hitting the balls into the target rather than being able to hang successfully every time. So we decided to, rather than have all 3 robots hang, we decided to shoot some into the goal in order to achieve a higher point count.
So then what was the reaction when you guys learned that instead of losing like you had thought that you lost, you just upset the 2 seed?
It was amazing. We were ecstatic. It was awesome.
How do you deliberate on decisions like that when it comes down to game time decisions? You have to make an executive choice. Who's doing that communication on the sideline?
It's mainly the drivers. It's mainly the drivers themselves who have to make a last-second decision in order to choose what's going to be best on the fly, and sometimes the decisions don't work out, but in this case it worked out perfectly.
And you guys also had a bit of adversity there. One of your robots wasn't working for a significant portion of that stretch, so what kind of improvements are you looking to make here?
Just little bits of maintenance, making sure that everything runs smoothly next time.
All right, Julian, thanks so much for the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys.
All right, Michelle, thank you. Yeah, well, you know, there is strategy involved. At some point, you know, you make a decision, cross your fingers, hope it pays off. That one did.
Yep.
So here's our Blue Alliance as we move into our 4th quarterfinal match. Autobots, Robotarians, and the Trisonics. Familiarity with these 3 robots?
Trisonics have been a great robot in the state, both Chairman's Award and coming out. I think they won a world championship. They were in Einstein, which is the final fields at Worlds. And 2959, one of my favorite robots. I mean, they're always really good. It's a team that I think has not had the playoff round success that they've deserved. They play well, but they seem to get a little unlucky at a lot of their events.
Red Alliance looks like this. Megahertz Robotics, the Benzene Bots from Troy, and the Talons.
Yeah, Benzene Bots coming all the way across the state. That team actually was part of my team, and then they split off and created their own. So we had 2 schools combined. So, but no favoritism.
And the other ones, the Megahertz Robotics and the Talons, fairly new.
Fairly new, yeah. And 5,000 number, you're probably maybe 4 years old at this point. So they've had some experience, but it really takes probably about that before you start becoming a veteran. It takes a few years to build up your resources, recruit more mentors, recruit more students, and really learn the way that the program runs.
Gail Alpert told us that as much as the expansion for robotics in Michigan continues, the hardest part is to find coaches.
That's the hardest part, for sure.
So off we go here. Autonomous mode.
50-56, 3 of 3. 43-84, 3 of 3.
Benzing bots leading the way, deliberate, precise.
And we saw Allendale not able to pull the trigger. So they looked like they were lined up, did not fire any of their balls. And that's why Red is up, 41-29 right now.
Yeah, plus 12 starting the teleop period.
If they get the shots off again, missing a few, accuracy again is going to be the story here.
Blue Alliance not getting in a great position to score. Now we've got the Trisonics robot loading up and trying to avoid some Red robot, and they do successfully to get some points on the shooting there.
Yeah, that was 3 of 4. That was much better than their first salvo.
And Robotarians for Blue Alliance knocks down 3 straight to give them a lead of plus 7.
And one of the big things to watch is how long does it take to reload those balls. So we can see Robotarians, they have some free balls on the front, on our left-hand side here. They're able to just kind of snatch those up and get back in position quickly.
The Talons robot for the Red Alliance struggling. They had 5 balls loaded up, ready to drop, and now they're only going to maybe get 3 of those 5. Really struggling.
Yeah, but I think in that interaction, that defense that 51-52 was playing over there, I think they might have pulled a penalty. So even though they had a hard time scoring those and getting off those balls and getting free, I think they drew 15 points in penalties for that.
Red Alliance with just a small lead of 6 points. As we're going, a machine has tipped. That is the Talons robot has tipped over. You can see in the upper right-hand screen.
At the hanger, they're not making an adjustment. So it looks like they're hanging center and right, our Red Alliance here. They probably need to go right and left, so they're not going to get a balanced hang out of this. Still 50 points, though, with 2 robots in the air. And Blue answers. 2 robots in the air for 50 points.
Boy, every point's going to count here. Blue Alliance is getting a few more baskets there, a few more goals. So they forego the 3 robot hang to get some shooting points, and they do.
And again, probably smart, because if they're in the way of their partners hanging, you risk the 50 hanging points that they got. Instead, they pulled up, hit a couple high goal shots. And that, I mean, it was real close. It was within a couple points going into that end game. Those balls might have decided it.
And for the Red Alliance, it's that the Talons robot from Hale High School, from Hale, Michigan. That's we don't know why it tipped, but obviously that demands a complete overhaul and a review of everything.
Yeah, so the refs are gonna have a discussion. What was it? Was it from contact? Was it somebody intentionally tipping the robot over? That, of course, is illegal. If you intentionally tip a robot over, your alliance will get red carded, essentially disqualified from the match. I think their problem there, though, and we saw it after that defense, they were kind of up on top of the balls. And when you're on those balls, it's hard to get off. It makes you unstable. You're very tippy. And one wrong move in that situation could lead to that tip.
So they're going to post the final numbers here on the scoreboard inside the arena. And we have another Blue Alliance win, fairly close. And you have to think that if all 3 of those Red Alliance robots had functioned properly, might have been a different outcome.
Anytime you're within 25 points, right? And we have 142-124 victory, so that's only 18 points. One hang could have turned the tide there. See a couple missed shots here from Red, too. I mean, that's something you got to slow down. It takes so long for teams to go and get these balls and get lined up. You can't afford too many missed shots. 51-52. Here's some good defense, but as soon as that robot is in that red triangle, they're protected. So that hit after they got into the red triangle, that was the 15-point tech foul. Yeah. And there it was, up on the ball, and they just moved a little too fast and tipped themselves over.
And here's the park and hang. Both teams getting 2 robots up. But the Red Alliance just enough to sneak by.
Yeah, and I would have liked to see the Red Alliance there spread out a little bit, move that second robot to the other edge and go for the balanced hang. I think they were waiting for their partner to come and take up that spot, but you got to make that call quickly. 15 points for it being balanced would not have turned the outcome of this match, though.
Let's pick it up again as we rejoin Michelle. Mish?
Guys, thanks so much. Evie from the Robotarians joining me now. How did that play out from your perspective down the stretch with such a close matchup?
That was a really exciting match. I think our strategy worked well, though.
What was the strategy?
So we picked teams based on their strengths. That the teams that we're with in this round really complement ours. So we shoot a lot of our shots from really close to the target, and the Trisonics team 4003 shoots from far out. And we've also got a defense spot that's really fast and robust.
So where do you guys want to go from here in terms of improvement and what you want to kind of sharpen as you guys gel together as a group?
I think definitely just improving on our time, so shooting more and just being more aggressive as we're defending, but it was a nice match.
What was the reaction on your side after you guys got that win?
That was really, really exciting. Our fans are ecstatic right now.
Yeah, how would you explain this atmosphere for somebody at home watching this, not understanding what this is all about? What is the atmosphere here like?
Very energetic. It's a little bit chaotic, but in a super fun way. We're all really having a great time.
All right, Evie, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Guys.
Now we continue our 5th quarterfinal. 8 seed against a 1 seed.
Yep, so remember, the number 1 seed won this. Take a look at our number 8 seed here in blue. First match was 146-71 in favor of our Red Alliance. So this Blue Alliance is going to have to find a couple of different things to have a chance in this match. I think they're going to have to find a way to play more aggressive defense. They're going to have to take more chances and hope things break their way.
Red Alliance made up of those 2 heavy hitters, Engineers and Strike Force, and then Grand Rapids Robotics rounds out that trio.
Yep, and again, it's not all rosy for our number 1 seed here. They should have put up the highest score of the first round of the quarterfinals. They're 146, though, not as high as the 192 we saw in the second match. So I think they're going to be looking to increase their score here as well.
Now, if you're not looking for ways to improve, you're pretty much going to get passed by at some point, right?
Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to make adjustments too. So if our Blue Alliance here comes back and finds some way to slow down this Red Alliance, our Red Alliance is going to have to come back with a counter adjustment to that. So again, the autonomous mode here, right? We want to keep an eye on the Engineers robot in red. They're going to be on the right-hand side of our screen. They're going to do their shoot 3, get 3 from their partners, and shoot again. So that's going to give them a chance to shoot 6 balls in autonomous mode. And on the other side, on the blue side, we really need to see 4409 and 5182, Ground Zero and the Chiefinators. They've got to make a few more shots. So they got to line up a little bit faster. They've got to make those shots count. They've got to load a little bit faster to keep this close. But I think 83-42, if they go back on defense, that's the robot to watch. If they're successful on defense, our number 8 seed has a chance. If they're not successful on defense, it's going to be a tough road.
So a Red Alliance win is going to move them into the semifinals as the brackets are starting to take shape.
Yep, we have a small delay here at the start of the match. We want to make sure that everybody's robot is fully functional. So we can see in the Engineers on the Blue Alliance side, we've got our FTAs down there. Those stand for First Technical Advisors. Those are the guys who make sure robots can connect to the field, that everything is working correctly. My guess is it's probably the camera, the way that they're looking at that driver station, because we have all the robots connected. You can see the light in between the number 15 there would have been blinking if they weren't connected. That means they're trying to troubleshoot something a little bit farther down the line. And camera is normally what that is. So teams will be using these cameras to, I mean, they're actually doing image processing, right? So they're looking at pictures of the goal, and they can use that so that the robot can essentially aim itself. That tends to be faster and more accurate than a driver doing it.
And there's no time limit on this, right? They have as much time as they need to.
There's no hard time limit. The choice is going to come between the FTAs and the head referee. They're going to have to make a determination at some point whether this is something we can wait for, whether this is something that the field is responsible for, or whether it's something the team is responsible for. So if it's the team's responsibility and we've given them adequate time, then the head ref might say, you know what, we're going to play it. Sorry that your camera isn't working this match. If they decide that the field is at fault, they're going to get a little bit more time to troubleshoot. And we did see our head ref, Greg, going over there, just checking in to see what the situation is. But it does look like we are ready to go here.
Unless you think my partner Dan Kimura is just name dropping all over the place, do you pretty much know the name of every single person down there on the field?
A little bit less good here than some of the other events, but I know a lot of them.
Name recognition with you is always good as we roll into this quarterfinal match, the 5th of 8. Autonomous mode about to wrap up. Red Alliance jumping out big, 60-plus points.
Yeah, good shots by the engineers. Again, they're finding that inner goal, that small circle goal in the back for the extra 2 points in autonomous mode. Again, 6 points there versus 4.
So engineers in the middle, just gobbling up some balls, and we've got 2 Red Alliance robots putting balls in the goal. And they're doing it very well. We saw East Grand Rapids Robotics go low. The other Red Alliance robot went high. They're off to a really good start of 80-plus points. Blue Alliance trying to stay up, but they're down about 20.
You can see now Strike Force here in red is running this lane, and they're running it well. They've been back and forth twice now since the start of the match, already reloaded. And they're just flying back and forth here.
MHS 2020 coming through the center of the field. And they'll line up and go low and get a 5-ball drop.
Yeah, and that's effective. That's getting them points, but they're down 30 points at this point. They need to slow down red. I mean, Strike Force making these runs undefended. And they're hitting 3-4 shots every time they make it across the field.
Now they're playing some defense on Red Alliance, but
that's good.
Yeah,
Engineers forced to miss.
Yeah, Strike Force had a good look and knocked a few balls in. Still a sizable gap, maybe 35 points between Red and Blue Alliance. Red looking to move on if they win.
You see both robots on blue lined up now. One miss in the front there by 5182. We need to see 4409 get these.
They had a ball that just flew off the playing field and is returned back in. And now it's time for the Red Alliance to try and hang and maybe finish this whole thing off. They've got all 3 robots poised to hang.
Yep, if they hit the triple here, I think, that it's their match.
1 up, 2 up, 3 up. Can they balance? I don't think so.
Ooh, it's close. So here's the thing. The balance is scored 5 seconds at the end of the match. If it's swinging back and forth like this, but swings to the balanced spot, when 5 seconds happens, they're going to get credit for it. That is really, really close. 8% too. 8% angle is a little bit more than you would expect it to be as well.
Well done by the Red Alliance. The Engineers robot descending back to Earth. They're going to tally up the points.
Yeah, but again, that's okay as long as it happens more than 5 seconds after the end of the match. The field is scored at that 5-second point.
And we may have our first semifinalist of the afternoon here as they start counting up all the points.
Yeah, our number 8 seed in blue played better. That match, they definitely put up a better showing, but I don't think it's going to be enough. There's that autonomous mode, and you can see that back hole, that back circle, those balls are going straight into it.
Wow.
And again, it's 6 points in auto for doing that versus 4. In teleop, it's 3 versus 2, but in auto, that's a big difference in points.
And here's the Blue Alliance struggle. The 83-42 MHS 2020.
And then a good shot there of 44-09, knocking some shots down. They played well this match there as well. I mean, their offensive output went up out of blue. It was a good match by them, but, red just dominated that one.
Improved, yes, for the Blue Alliance, but not enough to keep their afternoon of competition going here at St. Joseph High School. And when the numbers are tallied, it is going to be maybe the best single round performance of the afternoon. 209 Red Alliance points, and they are moving into the semifinals.
Yep, we got a tech foul there. Strike Force, I think, just shredded one of our game pieces. They got a tech foul for that. You're not allowed to damage the field or the game pieces. But again, look at that Blue Alliance score. They put up 71 in the first match. They increased that to 149. That would have been competitive with 5 of our alliances, 5 of the other 7 alliances, but 209 is just too much to overcome.
Onwards for the Red Alliance, and we go back downstairs with Michelle McMahon. Michelle?
Thank you so much. Shelby joining me now from Strike Force and setting a record here for this event, and it's actually the record that you set last year with 209 points this season, 200 last season. What was the reaction from your team after that kind of performance?
You're screaming from the stands. It was quite amazing. Yeah, just setting 200 earlier in qualifiers and then setting 209 again in the quarterfinals. It's just such an amazing turnout. Both of which we did with triple climbs, which is such an amazing for this event. We have a wonderful alliance with us, Team East Grand Rapids 5980, and our other teammate, the Engine Nerds 2337. They're so amazing.
There seems to be some chemistry forming. What was the key in that break to really come together even further to get the sweep?
Yeah, well, we've all had problems at this event. Everyone does. We were actually in alliance with the Engine Nerds last year, so coming back with them and just having a great old time. And we're all just kind of supporting each other, just having that great alliance bond. We came out of with our matches earlier, our qualifiers, with our head cut off, quite literally. Strike Force was decapitated. But they trust us, we trust them, and we came out on top, and that you just saw in our last match. So yeah.
Shelby, why is this so much fun for you and for your team to be a part of?
It's just a great opportunity to do so many different things and to be so supportive. This event, it's not a competition, it's a cooperation, working with and competing with. And what Woody Flowers taught us is gracious professionalism, being nice, loving each other, supporting each other, while still having a grand old time and still getting to win and getting that honor. It's just such an amazing opportunity, really.
No better way to end it than that. Shelby, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you so much.
Guys.
Well, these kids are impressive. I think that Shelby just came up with a word I have not heard before in the English language, and it's a good one. Cooperation?
Yep, so cooperation, it was coined by Woody, one of the founders, Woody Flowers, one of the founders of the first robotics competition, he along with Dean Kamen. And, the idea is, on the field, compete like crazy. Off the field, raise everybody up together.
Yeah. Tremendous. So, yeah, great. And to parlay that into athletics, sportsmanship.
Yep.
Help them out. Yeah, everybody wins. So that is a Red Alliance win. They're in the semifinals. Now this 6th quarterfinal match.
I'm just going to see Alliance number 2 in red against Alliance number... Oh, sorry, this is Alliance 4 in red versus Alliance number 5 in blue. Again, the first match, our Red Alliance took this one 192 to 111.
Average Joe's Tech Bikes and Team Lancebot, they can move on with a win. And a Blue Alliance start, not quite as good as the Red Alliance, so they're in catch-up mode as we move to Telia.
Couple missed shots on both sides, but both 36-20 and 20-54 picked up extra balls to shoot. And that's the 24-point lead they've got right now.
Good shooting by the Red Alliance. They go high and they are successful. Now, some misfires there on the subsequent round, but they're still comfortably up by 30-ish points. Blue Alliance doesn't have much time to squander. They've got to get points. And they're really not playing much defense at all, which is that a bit of a surprise to you?
It is, actually, based on the way the first match went. Again, you know, they must have thought that 51-10's defense was not good enough. They're playing an interesting strategy, though. We just watched 51-10. They're loading up at the human player station, and they're feeding the balls forward for their two partners. So now, 26-19, the Charge and our Robo Rangers do not have to drive all the way across the field to reload. They've got, you can see, they're in a field of balls there, but still not picking them up as fast as they need to be. And here's 51-10 dropping 5 more in there. They got to start converting those, though. They got to make those assists into goals.
Yeah, 60 seconds left, and they're down 35 points or so. So Red Alliance is in a comfortable position. Nothing wrapped up certainly right now, though. Blue Lions struggling on the far side there, and two robots can't get out of each other's way, it seems like.
Yep. A little bit better shooting, but 36-20. You know, we talked about this before their first match. This Alliance, a little hit or miss on accuracy, and it's kind of missing this match. It still looks like, you know, a commanding lead.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately, Blue Alliance has not exploited any opportunities either. Red Alliance is going to center and go for the hang.
Yeah, and we can just see right on the field all those balls in that blue trench up there. Those needed to be put into a goal. So they're counting on endgame.
A mishandle and a mechanical failure there by the 42-37 Team Lancebot.
It's important that 42-37 not be touching the switch here. If they're touching the switch, they're going to basically be ruled to be supporting it, and they're going to lose the level points that they might have gotten. They'll still get the 2 hanging robots, but they will lose the level points.
Average Joes and Tech Fights off the ground, elevated, but Team Lancebot might gum up the works.
So meanwhile, in blue, all 3 robots are up. So again, the thing we're looking at here is 42-37 on the ground, but touching the switch. I think they're touching it, and if they're touching the switch, right, that means basically they could be supporting it in that level position. So even if the sensors are reading that it's level, which would have been 15 points, if they're touching it, it's going to wipe those 15 points out. And again, I think they're touching it. So I think that move, if they had backed up and lowered their arm and parked again, would have been worth 15 more points for the Alliance.
So they might lose points, but it still might not be enough for the Blue Alliance to catch them.
They did go into endgame with a pretty big lead. What are we looking at? We're looking at blue is a level on the switch and an extra hanging robot. That's going to be plus 40. 42-37 is parked, so that's 5 points coming back. 35-point swing in the endgame is still pretty big. They had a lead. It's actually going to be pretty close.
Yeah. They did not put themselves in a good position, but we reflect on the early parts of this match. Blue Alliance, well, they started well, respectively, but...
Yeah, the balls they started with were good. There's 36-20. Those shots need to go in. They need to figure that out, because there are matches where they hit all those shots and there are matches where they don't. And I think we saw a good look there of Blue's issue was just game piece acquisition. All right, and we can see the hangs here.
So the challenge for the Red Alliance, they do end up winning. We can see the challenges they had at the end trying to hang. No penalty points were handed out. Blue gets a big jump in the end game with 90 points.
Yep, again, that 90-55 that we calculated, 35 extra points in the end game. But the lead was just a little too much in the Power Cell game. But a 10-point win is not comfortable if you're Red.
No.
It is enough to send them on to the semifinals, however.
So kind of a mixed bag of rewards there for the Red Alliance.
And remember, they're going to be going up against our #1 seeded Alliance next. They've got to fix the accuracy issues, because 148 will probably not win that match.
Yeah, the numbers, the scoring is going to get higher and higher as we progress. And then eventually, as we move from weekend to weekend, you see defense become a little bit more prominent as the events unfold.
Yeah, so scores still will typically rise from week to week, but you will see these spikes where really effective defensive robots kind of bring it back down a little bit.
Down to the sidelines we go, and we rejoin Michelle.
Guys, thanks so much. Yash joining me now from the Red Alliance, from the Lanzabots, and you guys, first of all, started that off with a bang.
Yeah.
How were you able to get a good jump?
So, we had the strategy right there. Our team, we shot 3 balls at a time in the high goal, and then we had the Tech Bikes who also went back in the trench and grabbed a couple more balls to shoot, and St. Joe did a great job of grabbing balls from the opponent's trench and taking balls away from them while also scoring us points.
What was the biggest strategical win in this match?
I think it was definitely our autonomous because we got such a great lead there. I think it was like something like 50 to 20 or something like that. It's a 30-point lead right there, and it gave us a huge advantage during the match.
Things got a little dicey at the end when one of your robots broke and it altered the tilt on the scales. So what was the communication behind that?
So what happened was our team usually goes ahead there at 40 seconds when 40 seconds are left to line up, and our arms was a little too high, so our attachment came off the robot, which stopped us from climbing. But I think we had enough of a lead to advance and get enough points to win the match.
As you advance to the semis now, what's the communication like post-match? What are you guys looking to move forward and progress from here?
So, we're just trying to strategize because, we're going against the #1 alliance, so they're a pretty good team, and, I think the strategy is going to be what decides this match, the upcoming semis, and that's how we're going to win.
Could be a Cinderella story in the making, just saying. All right, Josh. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, Mish, good stuff.
And he's exactly right. Those autonomous points are what carried them to that victory.
Yeah, the energy coming from the sidelines is always kind of an extra kick here in these at the first robotics events.
So we're going to see our #2 seed here in red. They're going to be playing the #7 seed. Again, #7 with the upset in the first round, 127-122. So our two big guns here, 226 and 5927. Remember, 5927 having some issues in that match, not going for the hang. Some shooting issues as well. Hopefully they've got it figured out because the Red Alliance needs to come back in this one.
Yeah, the margin for error gets a little slimmer now as we see the Red Alliance and the Hammerheads.
3 good shots there, but the Hammerhead's not pulling the trigger, not firing anything in autonomous mode.
Why
so they're
not?
going to start from behind. It looked like a robot issue. Those balls didn't feed through. They've been shooting those all day.
That is a very quick-moving robot, though, Dan. You pointed that out earlier, and they're going to go low.
They don't want to go low.
No,
that is a problem.
Okay,
yeah, there
they go.
I think their shooter wheel wasn't spooled up, so it's kind of like a pitching machine, right? You got to wait for that big wheel to get spinning fast before you feed the ball through.
Blue Alliance hanging in. This is not a huge scoring outing so far, but still very competitive and close.
Yep, 48-55, taking a long time to line up that shot. Only firing 1, but they do hit it, so not wasted time.
You want to load 5 balls and fire them off quick, ideally.
As quick as accuracy is a little bit more important, than rapid fire, but you can't be spending too much time in any phase of the game. 2 minutes is not a long time to play.
And we just saw one of the Red Alliance robots fire not 1, but 2 balls well out of play, almost out of the gym.
That was 59-27, and I think they got hit while they were shooting. Knocked their aim off, so 56-10 there. Some good defense.
Balls coming in too fast, sometimes bounce out.
That can happen too, yeah.
So this is low scoring, but very close. We're inside 50 seconds, and we got a lead of like 5 points for the Red Alliance.
Yeah, both of these alliances really working that defensive robot. So 65-88 doing a decent job for Red, but I think 56-10 for the Blue Alliance. That Turbulence robot is really shutting down that offense.
We got the 59-27 Red Alliance robot, Globetrotters, firing from inside the center structure, the shield generator.
And we can see they're working now, so they weren't able to go and hang last match. They're there waiting this match.
Red Alliance looks like they'll stay with 2 robots to hang. Blue Alliance is only going to go with 1. This seems like a really low-scoring quarterfinal match.
And again, big things to watch, right? They both chose to dedicate 1 robot to defense. Some of our other alliances have been playing 3 on offense. So we'll see. I think that's level. For Red, it's close.
Ooh.
Blue is definitely level, but blue with only one hanging robot. I think, level or not, I think as long as 5927 stayed up for the hang, and I believe they did, I think that this end game is going to be in favor of red, and that's going to tilt the match in favor of red as well.
So again, we're working our way through the quarterfinals. We have 2 semifinal groups that have advanced, and they have both been higher seeds. And in this quarterfinal event, we are going to watch the Red Alliance, the number 2 seed, pull out a close win, low scoring, but still a win.
Yep, and they needed this, right? They lost the first match, so now this matchup is going to be 1 apiece, and we will go to that rubber match.
So both teams come out of there with, you know, less than great performances, not many points. Let's take a look back at our highlight pack.
So that's great out of 5927 and Auton. This is where 226 would be shooting before they back up, but no shots came out. They're lucky that that wasn't a match, you know, ending catastrophe. They were able to get it working again. And here's that 5610 robot. I want to give them almost all the credit for keeping this close. 226 does do a good job of getting around them there. We see, I think this is where, you know, this is a later one, so their shot's going off right away.
That's such a tough shot with that angle.
Yeah, it's such a narrow angle. But again, that is a protected spot on the field, so they can't get hit once they're in position. And here's the hang.
They get more points for going high than they do low.
Correct.
So there it is.
And that's the hang, right? 2 robots up for red, 1 robot up for blue. And I think that's the difference, yep. And we can see it here. So I guess there are 2 difference makers here. 65 to 50 in the end game. That's that extra hanging robot for our Red Alliance, giving them 15 points in a 13-point victory. But also, there was a penalty, a tech foul, 15 points. So if blue had played clean and not caused that penalty to give red those 15 points, they would have won as well. So they had multiple opportunities. I believe that penalty was for hitting the control panel of the other alliance. So that's that color wheel. You're not allowed to be in that area and messing with it.
So there's going to be a 3rd and final quarterfinal match between these 2 alliances. Let's go back in the pits and rejoin Michelle. Mish.
Guys, thanks so much. Harshidi joining me now from Team 226 from the Red Alliance, who came back in that one. Although it was close, you now tied up the series 1-1. What were the improvements that you guys made to get this win?
I think the biggest improvement we made from this match compared to the last match was our collaborative climb with Team 5927, the Globetrotters. I'm really proud that we were able to accomplish this. It was a really intense match, really close, but the climb was the biggest factor to our win.
Why is it such a low-scoring match compared to the others?
I think there were a lot of penalties in this match, which really resulted towards the scores being very close. And we had a little bit of difficulty with scoring and getting around the defense spots, but I'm really glad that the outcome came out the way it did and that our climb was successful.
All right, now you head into the tiebreaker round. What's going to create the edge for your team?
Well, I really hope that we're able to work better around these defense spots. That was the biggest thing about the second match, but hopefully we can pull off that climb again. And I mean, I really hope to win. It would be great to make it to the semis.
All right, Harshini, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, so we roll on. A little more drama coming when those 2 alliances go back to it again. But now we're going to have our 8th quarterfinal match.
Yep, this is going to be number 3 seed in red versus our number 6 seed that we're looking at here in blue. Again, another upset.
6 seed, right, won the first one.
Yep, 142 to 122. Kind of on the back of 2959 and 4003 shooting at the end of the match. Allendale and Coloma.
Yeah, they chose not to hang.
Yep.
And the shooting was the path to success.
And we'll see if they take a few more chances in this match. They're up 1-0. They know they're going to have to score more points to win this tournament. It might be a good match to try some things. So if they think they can make a hang work, maybe practice that hang in this match.
3, 2, 1.
Red Alliance coming on strong in autonomous. Oh yeah, that's rock solid, steady shooting from the Benzene Bots from Troy. They came a long way, not the furthest, Port Huron.
Port Huron is farther, yep.
From one side of the lake to the other.
So a couple missed shots by the Robotarians there, 29-59. Giving Red that, slim lead, 15 points right now.
So Blue Alliance trying to win, but they're down 12 points here. And a little bit of a misfire. They make 1 of 3 from the Trisonics robot. Red Alliance suffering from some good defense down there. The Megahertz Robotics robot being pushed by Aladobots from Otsego High School.
Yep, smart play by the Red Robots, though. They drifted towards their protected zone. I think they might have drawn a penalty there. So they got slowed down. They missed some shots, but they're going to get some back.
Red Alliance still putting on pressure offensively. The Benzene Bots. That is a good shooting robot.
Yep, key with the Benzene Bots is always how fast can they reload. They're very accurate. They line up pretty quickly, but we see the weak side of their game right now is collecting these game pieces.
How is that something you can correct?
I mean, there are a few things. It's driver practice. Definitely more time behind the sticks, but you can look. Their intake is very narrow on their robot. So they've got to line up more precisely on the balls than some of the other robots we're watching. So 4003 having some issues, but if you look at their roller or the Robotarians roller on blue, they're the entire width of the front of the robot, so they have a much wider space that they can pick the balls up from.
Hang time for the Red Alliance. 2 robots up in the air.
And 4003 went up with their hook. It did not set. And the arm seems to have fallen off. Yeah, so I don't think they're going to be able to hang there or not.
This will not be a big point outing for either alliance.
That's again, close match going into the end game. Again, we saw Colomo 29-59 making some shots at the end of the match, but we've got 2 red robots hanging. I don't think it's level, and we've got 1 blue robot hanging, also not level. So that's going to be a 25-point swing for red. 4003 is parked, and again, if you park in that zone underneath the switch there, you get 5 points for that. But it's still a 20-point swing here for red, and the match was, I think, slightly in red's favor before counting these endgame points.
Yeah, these can be very small things that swing these specific matches, right?
Yeah, exactly. So here's red. This autonomous again seems to be what's carrying them. 43-84 Benzene Bots, getting even 1 in the inner goal there. A few misses on the other side. You can see those balls bouncing back. So they got all the shots off, but a little unlucky on the last one bouncing out too. And here we see this defense. Again, if that red robot gets in the triangle, they're protected. And a smart move there by 51-52 backing off. Yeah. You can't keep hitting them once they're in that tape triangle.
Smart defense. The question is, will it be enough? There's just not a real clean outing for either the Red or Blue Alliance here. So,
yeah, we really want to see more of those shots going in. Of course, it's the first event for most of the teams here. I think our notable exception is the Engineers. 23-37 on our #1 seed alliance has already played an event, so they have that advantage. But a lot to tune in here on these shooters.
I was going to say mechanical robots don't have jitters, do they?
not jitters, but they got bugs.
Drivers, jitters, yeah, but there it is. Well, we've got Red Alliance winning and getting things back on track a little bit. But 124 points doesn't really rev their engines up too much, does it?
No, I mean, pretty consistent with the first match. I think it's more of a story of the Blue Alliance having some issues. We can see. I mean, Blue Alliance scored 142 in the first matchup. They're down to 99. And I don't know how much of that was defense. I really think a lot of that was just missing shots that they should be able to make. Although keeping power cells close, right? Last time they won it, though, on the backs of a power cell, advantage. End game pretty close to last time. Again, they chose not to hang in the last end game, but they got to be ahead for that.
Both teams losing some points to penalties, but in the end, Red Alliance wins. They survive, and there will be a third match. We will take a timeout here at St. Joseph's High School here in Michigan with the first Robotics Game Day in Michigan continuing. We'll have more in just a moment.
DTE believes leaders are defined by doing what's right, not what's easy. So we're tripling renewables and cutting carbon emissions in half over the next 10 years and using cleaner natural gas. Working even harder to create a future where producing affordable, reliable energy doesn't contribute to climate change. Because to lead, we have to do what's right. DTE.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. It pioneers. Genius takes teamwork. It takes patience. It doesn't throw in the towel. It keeps going. Past obstacles, past failures. Until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project from Consumers Energy, our educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Like our sponsorship of Michigan First Robotics. Together, we can fuel the next generation of talent in Michigan. Discover the genius in all of us at consumersenergy.com/genius.
So we'll have a couple more quarterfinal events here with the best 2 of 3. Those are the ones that will advance. And again, a lot of big names coming out to support First Robotics. Earlier today, Michelle McMahon talking with Michigan Congressman Fred Upton and about his take on robotics here in Michigan.
First of all, he's a rock star. Second, he's a billionaire. Maybe you ought to run for president, maybe. The third thing is he actually came here and witnessed this. But he testified. I chaired the Energy and Commerce Committee. He was a frequent witness. He's the Thomas Edison of today. I mean, from the kidney dialysis machine to prosthetics. I mean, he is the guy. And his passion for this, and we have over 100 schools in Michigan now that participate, but more than any other in terms of number of schools per state. But $100 million in scholarships. I mean, every company wants these young boys and girls to keep it up, really get a skill, and be number one. But now it's international now too. But Cayman, it was his idea, it's his passion, his work, and he's just a really good personal friend, but it's for this that he lives for.
And it's clear your passion for this kind of event too. You mentioned being the former chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee. Dive a little bit deeper into that. Why are initiatives like this so important, big picture-wise, from your perspective as a federal congressman?
Well, we look to the future. You look at the issues that we have. Energy and Commerce, arguably the most powerful committee in the Congress in terms of jurisdiction, from healthcare to energy to you name it. We need a talented workforce. Companies here, I mean, nuclear energy companies that are here today, Whirlpool Corporation, which was started in this town, just every Stryker, major medical device manufacturer, again, started in Southwest Michigan. They're all here. They're all sponsors. They want these young people to be their future workforce, knowing that they've got the skill set. But, the other thing, last night I talked to a young man who I nominated for the Air Force Academy. He got in. The first thing now that the Air Force Academy looks at in terms of their potential applicants did they participate in first.
Wow.
So it's taken off. It's terrific.
How do you leverage that, knowing what you know about first and where these kids come from and how far along they get developed through this program? How do you leverage that at the state level to continue to help these programs get funded by the state?
Well, a couple things. Our former governor, Rick Snyder, actually had a line item for this. I think he had $20 million in his budget for these programs across the state. That is continued today. We want, hey, we're the automobile state. We're manufacturing. We want these students to not only stay in Michigan if they can, but actually have the job skills that the world is going to need. And this fits it. I mean, there are more people here today than are at basketball game.
Right.
I mean, you
so
got parents, you got mentors, you got companies. One of the things that I did in this last year was we're actually going to have a coin that's going to be minted by the U.S. Mint. Krista McAuliffe's going to be on the face of it with the other 6 astronauts that passed away, of which the profits are all going to go to FIRST and STEM education. So we're excited. That coin is going to sell like hotcakes next year once it's minted and sold.
And as you mentioned, proceeds go back to this FIRST and other STEM
the government
programs
doesn't
as well.
lose any money. They take the money they cost to make the coin, but then all of the profits. It's a little bit like Girl Scout cookies. Every one of these teams is going to be selling these coins. They're going to want to keep them themselves. I'm going to buy a bunch for sure.
I love that.
But then the value will increase. But again, the profits all go to FIRST and STEM education, offset some of the other costs that they have.
Lastly, as somebody who is well accomplished in their career, you've done so much as an individual. You are now witnessing former kids that used to be in your shoes. You were born and raised in St. Joe, Michigan. What advice would you give to the kids who are participating in today's events as they move ahead, not only in the competition, but also in their lives beyond this?
I often visit a school literally every week. So many of our high schools, actually elementary schools now, they've got a younger program now for them as well, but they're into this and they're excited. They're excited about education and what it can lead to. The parents are really excited. I just wish my kids had done this. They're a little older, too old now for the 28, 32, but it's an exciting time. It really is.
Never too late to sign them up.
That's
Fred,
right. I want to do it.
I say we put
They got to
Fred
keep
in.
away from the joysticks. We had the ping pong game. Blip, blip, blip. I mean, that was about the best stuff that we had.
I think
back
we need
then.
to do a FIRST in Michigan congressman style. Get a couple of your buddies on there and compete with robots.
Well,
what
Debbie
do you
Dingo,
say?
she was my co-conspirator in the coin, and we got virtually everybody that you could think of to be a co-sponsor.
Amazing. Fred, thanks so much for the time.
All right.
All right. Well, everybody that is involved in Michigan FIRST Robotics benefits. Long-term, short-term. Here's what we have now for our tiebreaker in our quarterfinal. This is back to the 2nd seeded and 7th seeded alliances.
And again, 1-1, first match. 7th seed in blue won 127 to 122. Second match, Alliance 2 in red came back 124 to 111. Pretty low-scoring matches, and both of them very close. This could go either way.
So we have Turbulence, Built on Brains, and Ramageddon representing the Blue Alliance. Any of those 3 robots stand out to you in the first 2 times we've seen them?
It's 56, 10, and 85 kind of carrying the shooting chores for that alliance. And then 56, 10, also coming back and playing that defense. They've been the defensive robot for this alliance when they need it. And that's, I think, what's been keeping the scores down and the matches close.
And Red Alliance has the Hammerheads, the Globetrotters, and the Counter Torque Robotics.
Yep. So we need to see a little bit more from, I think, 226, right? They didn't shoot in autonomous mode last match. They really have that ability. They've shown it all weekend. They need to get that shot going, and they need to put those balls in the high goal. And 65-88, kind of late to the field, a lot of work being done at the last minute. And I'm hearing that I think this alliance would have liked to have more time. I think they were maybe thinking about calling a timeout. So that robot, let's keep an eye on it. It may not be ready for this match.
So why wouldn't they call a timeout?
So there's a few rules. You only have a certain amount of time after the match before yours ends to call that timeout. And I think they waited too long.
Okay. Missed opportunity. Blue Alliance, all 3 robots firing at the 1 goal. Not bad. Red Alliance, pretty good as well.
Yep, we saw the shots there. A little bit of a ball jam, so some of the points are coming in late through the scoring. Still a blue advantage, though.
So the winner is moving into the semifinals. And we can see the Hammerheads robot shooting in that tough angle at that high goal.
Yep, but making those shots. Meanwhile, 59-27, a little bit off on their accuracy there.
Yeah, we've talked about that Hammerhead robot, how easily it moves around across the playing field. And they fired too fast. 2 balls hit each other and
yeah, I mean, unlucky the first one didn't go in, got in the way of the second one.
Still tied with a lot of time left.
Have good shots by 48-55, and they're from way downtown. So Ramageddon there, they're shooting from a protected zone. They can't be defended where they were shooting from, and they're definitely not in the way of their partners, so that helps too.
Both teams aggressive on defense. Oh, Red just got a big push with some high-scoring goals there.
But 85, built on brains, answering right back for blue.
Still very close. And boy, this is really good defense there. We just saw Built on Brains just pushing all over Counter Torque Robotics.
And we'll see again, 226 able to get past 56-10 pretty quickly this time, using that swerve drive. Those shots need to go in on the other side too for Ramageddon.
Boy, this is really close here. We're 30 seconds left-ish. And we've only got like a 5-point swing between these 2 alliances.
And it's there for either alliance. A ton of missed shots here in the last 30 seconds. Either alliance really could have taken control.
Well, and looks like neither team is all serious about hanging. Now there's 1 Red Alliance, now 2. As Hammerheads comes into position, Blue Alliance figures they're going to win by scoring right now.
That's correct. We will not see the 3rd Red Alliance robot. They were disabled. Their bumper fell off, which means they're not in playing configuration, so they got e-stop. They got turned off in this match.
Boy, this is a tough outing for these 2 alliances, and there's the bumper that has fallen off the Counter Torque Robotics machine.
Yeah, so when that bumper comes off, again, that the refs are going to head over. They're going to disable the robot, and we do that by hitting an e-stop, and that basically cuts off controls. And they're stuck there for the rest of the match. But Red still getting 2 hanging robots and doing it on a balanced, switch there in the middle. And that, I don't know if that's enough, right? It was close at the end. Blue's got 1 hanging robot for sure. I think they've got 2 parked robots along with it. I think 48-55, right, was on the ground there.
So we're going to tally up the points here, and they're going to show everybody on the big board that it is a Red Alliance win. But a close one, 121 to 113.
Yep, 226 here in autonomous mode. They're shooting. They hit 2 of 3. Definitely better than last match. And here they had some trouble their first cycle in the previous match. They get lined up. They hit them all. And now the defense, 65-88, and this defense is probably what caused some issues with that bumper. In fact, you can see that bumper is zip-tied on. So that might have been what they wanted the extra time for at the beginning of the match. So it held on for most of the match. I guess it held on for long enough because they did come ahead with the win.
And a valiant effort late by the Blue Alliance.
And great shots there by 85.
Yeah, Built on Brains. That's been a good performing machine all afternoon, but here's the hang.
And this was the key. They needed these robots to be up, and I believe they needed it to be level.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
Right, both the Blue Alliances coming in parking for the 10 extra points. But yeah, it was level. We can see 25 for each of the hanging robots. That takes us to 50 for our Red Alliance endgame, and then 15 more for it being level. And without those 15 points, 8-point win. So they needed that balance. They needed that to be level to come back from the small deficit they had, and they did it.
So the Red Alliance rallies after losing the first quarterfinal. Now it's on to the semifinals. And the Red Alliance, well, they didn't win pretty, but they won. And not a huge margin of error, not a huge margin of victory, but a win nonetheless. We go back into the pits with Michelle McMahon.
Guys, thanks so much. Skylar joining me now from the Red Alliance. The end game was clearly strong for your team. Why was it so effective?
Well, at first we had this problem with I forgot the bot's name, but one of the bigger bots on the other team were blocking us. So what we did was we had two other bots in our alliance defend us as we shot halfway across the trench.
What was the biggest difference maker in your mind from game 1 to game 2 to game 3 for you guys to pull out this close victory?
The first one, we had a problem with our climbing. That was a big difference, and then we had to fix that. Another one was our other teammate in the alliance, I forgot.
We'll focus on the fun element. What's been the most fun part about this experience for you?
It's given me friends. Outside of robotics, I didn't really have many friends, so for that's a really great thing. I'm learning amazing skills that will help me later in life. I'm learning STEM skills and how to be a leader in tomorrow's day.
Awesome, Skylar. Well, thank you so much for the time, and best of luck to you as you advance on to the semis.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, Michelle. So we are all locked in now with one more quarterfinal matchup to come, a tiebreaker. How do we scout this one?
So number 3 alliance versus number 6. This is one where this blue alliance in the first match, right, put up a solid 142, winning 142 to 122, but just kind of fell off the cliff in the next match, only being able to muster 99 points to the red alliance's 124. So I think it was a tale of missed shots. 4003, 2959, both capable of making a lot of balls, a lot of power cells in the goal, but they're going to need to do it a little bit more consistently here.
So all of our higher seeded alliances have all advanced.
Yep.
1, 2, 4. Now we're waiting for the showdown between 3 and 6 as we fire those engines and move into autonomous mode.
So better accuracy from blue.
Not perfect from red, but still pretty good. And both teams come out of the autonomous very, very well.
And we'll play it. So now it's going to be can 4384 get loaded up here quickly? Because we know when the benzene bots shoot, right, it's going in.
Blue Alliance navigating with the Robotarians, point blank going high. Good angle shots and good scoring. There's one loose ball that they'll let go.
Yeah, actually getting stuck on it a little bit, but...
Oh, but 4003. Trisonics rolls off consecutive goals or baskets.
That's what we want to see. I mean, the floor on the blue side right now is pretty clean. And this is an alliance that has struggled with their accuracy.
Yeah, not many loose balls. This is a good lead. And we see the Trisonics again.
Yep.
Only one comes back out. But they load, they fire, and they get points.
And if they can keep that up, they can match most any alliance here. So meanwhile in red, it's a little bit too much traffic in the front court here. Benzene Bot's trying to get reloaded and having a hard time doing that.
Yeah, talk about precision for Trisonics. They need to play some defense on that robot because blue has really jumped out to a big lead, like 40 or 50 points. And there's no defense going on right now against that Trisonics robot that is just killing it.
Yeah, and the Coloma robot too, 2959. They're just kind of sneaking around in the front court, picking up whatever misses there are, stealing some balls from the Red Alliance, and adding some more high goal shots as well.
Well, the Red Alliance is going to regret their strategy for not defending that Trisonics robot.
Yeah, they're almost too far behind to come back, even with this climb that they're going to execute here. If the Trisonics are up, they're going to be comfortable here in blue.
Inside 10 seconds, and there's only one Blue Alliance robot that's hanging.
Yeah, but big lead going into this end game. They've got almost a 60-point advantage. So just the one hanging robot versus two, I think it's going to be enough to hold on.
Well, this is going to be the last semifinal slot to be filled. And all signs point to a Blue Alliance advance. And that would also be the first time a lower seed advanced out of these possible 4 semifinal positions.
Yep, they'll be our only upset if they were able to hold on for that.
How much strategizing goes on, Dan, between quarterfinal wins versus semifinals beginning? What is this? What happens there that changes?
Yeah, so you've had a chance now to watch your opponent, your new opponent, right? So you're to watch their quarterfinal matches, and you should know if you've got it or if you don't have it. And if their strategy is going to win the match, you have to change something up. So this is, a lot of teams might run the same strategy in the first match and see how it goes, but that's a big opportunity to change and change your outcome.
So assuming that you brought your A game, as it were, in the quarterfinals, now everyone's seen it and can react accordingly.
Exactly, yeah. Here's some of that good shooting by 2959 and 4003 right behind them.
Look at the quick release.
Yeah, just doing a good job of getting those balls through the systems. No hang-ups. And a good end game from Red, right? Our 3 seed doing a solid double hang here. I believe they're level.
But all the points came in the power cell.
Yeah, and a lot of defense by 51-52. We see them on the ground there, but that defense just sort of kept the power cell score down, and a 92-48 advantage in power cell scoring. 35 extra points in the end game, not quite enough to make up for that. Extra 15 points in penalties as well. Just got to be a little bit cleaner, got to make a few more shots.
So our semifinals are set, and we will come back with the semifinals. First match when we continue here, the first Robotics Game Day in Michigan from St. Joseph High School. We are back with the semifinals, ready to roll. Red Alliance. And we have the first robotics culture. Joel Gabby with some insight on that as we take a look back.
Robotics are really important in the electric power industry, both in generating power and transmitting power. Inside our nuclear power plant, there are things that are just not safe for employees to do. So we use robotics to conduct those work activities. Outside the power plant, you see the large power lines that crisscross the United States. We're using more and more robotics and automation to inspect those lines and make sure that they're able to properly transmit power. Even in things like armed security now, we're using automation, robotics. I joked to the young people today that I thought I was here just recruiting engineers. I'm recruiting armed security officers too.
Fair enough, yeah. How impressive is this to you for what the kids are able to put together in just a matter of 6 weeks, building these robots from the ground up, and then what they're able to accomplish on the game floor? What's the part that stands out the most to you of the most difficult part of the process, and translate that for us?
You see how complex these robots are. In fact, I saw one that had a turret built on it. And so you think of robots just track things, a couple arms. These things have hundreds to thousands of moving parts. And then just the teamwork that's required of these young people to operate these robots. When you look at them working in teams of 3 out here behind us, how they have to coordinate, and just the competitive spirit is just unbelievable. I wasn't expecting that when I got here today.
It's almost like events like these make learning fun, but it also breathes new life into the workforce, I imagine. You have engineers that are involved with these kids as mentors. You see how passionate these kids are about building these robots and then getting in and applying this in real life. How does that breathe new life for from your perspective of just seeing that passion and enthusiasm from such young people that are going to eventually be filling shoes such as yours?
Yeah, and it's, you know, a lot of our employees' children are part of this competition. And so you see just, you know, every industry is getting disrupted right now, you know, whether it's things like Amazon or the electric utility industry, and just seeing these young people who someday will be running our power plants, running our businesses, and how smart they are, you know, just how enthusiastic they are, really, you know, makes you excited for the future.
What do you see in terms of the future with why this is so important in terms of building kids up to build the skills for our future? What real life issues is America facing that these kids could potentially help solve?
If you think about how important automation is right now, if you go to any factory today, I mean, there are robots everywhere. If you go to a standard automobile manufacturing plant, it's almost all robots. You know, if you think of autonomous cars, things like that, it's all automation, robotics, and things like that. So these young people are learning skills that will drive our entire economy in the future. You know, I can't imagine what it'll be like, you know, 20 years from now for me. And just the skills they're learning are going to just take our country to the next level, and I'm really excited about that.
That is extremely exciting. And AEP sponsors FIRST all throughout the country. So when you're looking at Michigan, where we are now, what jumps out to you about the competition level here? Because I hear Michigan is the most competitive of all of them.
Yeah, and I was told today this is a stacked competition. And, you know, the world champ from a couple years ago, Stryker, is here. Our local high school here, St. Joe High School, has always done really well. And so, you know, first started in the Detroit area, and it's just gone national. And so Michigan has really been the epicenter for this. And you see both, you know, urban schools, suburban schools, rural schools who are here competing against each other, teaming up with each other. And so I think that's really fantastic, where you see every level of school can participate in this and really learn and achieve things.
All right, Joel, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Michelle and Joel, thank you very much. Our semifinal bracket is all set. We will roll into our first semifinal match when we continue. Well, we had one upset in the quarterfinal matches with the 6th-seeded Alliance advancing, but we will start with the Alliance 1 versus Alliance 4.
Yeah, Alliance 1, you know, that big 209 points to seal their entry here to the semifinals. That's the top score, not only of the playoffs, but of the entire competition. So Alliance number 4 is going to have their work cut out for them. They put up a 192, though, in their first quarterfinal match. So not too far off. Again, I mean, we're seeing some great matches. 36-20 and 20-54, just their variation is a little higher than we'd like to see. But when they're on, they can compete. So if they can put everything together in this match, it's going to be very close.
So here's the Blue Alliance. Average Joe's, Team Lancebot, and the Tech Bikes. What do we like about what they did in their quarterfinal matches?
They went 3 robots all on offense. That was working for them. They were getting some extra shots there. They cycle a lot of balls. They put a lot of balls up in the air. And again, we just want to watch their completion rate. We want to see how many shots they can make.
Red Alliance, Engineers, Strike Force, and Robotics.
And again, I mean, they're the favorites here, so it's their match to lose. We'll watch that good autonomous mode again. See how many of the Engineers can put in that inner goal for those.
What makes them
points.
the favorites?
Just, you know, I mean, highest score of the tournament so far. They've got probably the 2 best shooters here. Engineers definitely, I think, has been shooting better than everybody else thus far. But Strike Force putting it all together here at the end. They had a rough start to the tournament. But they've been shooting lights out here in the elimination rounds in our playoffs.
So this will be best 2 of 3 as well. And that will get us to our finals. So everything is 2 of 3 going forward.
Yep, that's correct.
Blue Alliance getting a little extra time to tweak that Team Lancebot robot right there. How about that jacket? That out of your? Is that one out of your closet there, my friend?
The red one?
The red one?
The plaid there? I can't say I have that shirt.
But I could. Oh, I thought it was a jacket. a sports jacket. Well,
I'll look into it. I'll check in with them where they get them from later.
Yeah, exactly. Well, two guys have the matching plaid shirts. Okay, well, that's...
Yep. I think that's their team.
That's symmetry, right?
That's their team uniform there.
Exactly.
They were waiting for a camera again, so it looks like they were rebooting the robot, trying to get the camera to show up.
Was that the same robot that had a camera problem earlier?
Different team, same issue.
Okay, same issue.
It's a good shot there. That's their driver station. That is an old picture that we were seeing on the laptop there. So that needs to start updating live again, and then they'll be ready to go. And we can see that head ref with the yellow and black coming over. He just wants to know, what's the issue, and is this something we need to wait for, or is this something that the team is responsible for? And cameras are definitely in that gray area because the system for feeding the camera information is not the most robust, but it is important that teams use that. So there are some things the team can do on the other side of that, though, to make it more successful, make it work a little better. So I think they'll take a couple tries here and see what they can do.
What's the scenario if this does not get repaired?
So the big issue is going to be they're going to be shooting blind. The driver's going to have to try to line the robot up just by eye across the field. And that's important to remember, right? The drivers are on one side of the field. Their goal is all the way 57 feet across the field, or 55 feet.
That is an unpleasant situation.
Yeah, so some teams will have the camera actually do image processing, find the goal, and align the robot manually. Some teams will just have the camera, and they'll have little crosshairs right on that laptop screen, and it's just turn the robot until the crosshair's where you want it, and then fire it.
Let's go down in the stands. Michelle McMahon mixing it up with all the fans here at St. Joseph High School. Michelle?
Yeah, I figured I'd give you guys the flavor of what the atmosphere is like. No better person to communicate that to you than Kim Bruinswood, who had 4 kids that went through this program. They are now all graduated, but she is back to ring in the troops. What is this event mean to you, Kim?
We are having so much fun. It was a growing year. They're young. They're sinking into it. They are working really hard. I'm so proud of them.
Why do you love FIRST Robotics?
Because the robots are fun and the building is fun, but helping the kids problem solve and learn to be great citizens, that is the bonus.
And you firsthand, I'm sure, have witnessed your kids benefit from this as well. We thank you so much for the time. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you being back.
Thanks.
Guys, back up to you.
Hi, Mish. Looks like all of our problems have been resolved, and we are green light go here for our first semifinal. Teleop underway. Red Alliance Engineers poised to score, and score they will. Step back scoring as well.
Yep.
Scoring on the move, more difficult than...
That was actually a missed shot that bounced back into their robot that they weren't expecting, and so they were already moving when they shot it.
Almost 70 points. And they just scratched the surface here. Blue Alliance, they got a little work to do. They got some gun firepower, though. They've got tech bikes. That's an experienced robot. And some defense going on. 42-37, Team Lancebot taking some contact.
Yeah, at the same time, we saw both red robots unload. And Strike Force is back, and I think they drew a penalty on that one, too.
Tech bikes trying to load up on some loose balls in the center of the playing field. Not doing well, though. Now they go in the corner to scoop some out.
And you got to be real careful because 2 of the same team robots are there. They have to, work carefully to not get in each other's way, and it was pretty good. 36-20 average Joes kind of sliding around the side.
Red Alliance in good shape. One shooter for Red Alliance. That's Engineer. They're getting bothered, though, so they're going to step away. But it's a much more defensive-oriented effort by both teams.
Yep, 36-20 there, too. 2 or 3 shots went low before they made an adjustment and brought it back up, and they can't afford those misses. Again, tech bikes shooting some over the top of the field there. And they need those makes to keep in this game.
Red Alliance poised to do some serious damage here. They're up 60-plus points.
Yeah, already Red, I think, is starting to focus on their end game. Looks like they're trying to come around. Oh, no, they're going to take a few more shots before they get lined up here.
Yeah. Red Alliance, efficient, productive, and they're going to rack a whole bunch of points up here. They might get all 3 robots on the climb. Looks like they'll miss 1. As Strike Force won't make the climb, but the other 2 will. Blue Alliance.
3 from Blue.
Yeah, they're going to get all 3 in the air. No balance.
I think Blue is going to get the balance. Red is not. Smart play by Strike Force. They weren't able to get their hook engaged. They backed out and made sure to creep in without making contact. Don't want to risk losing any of those points. So endgame advantage to Blue. You know, they're going to get an extra probably 40 points for this, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They were just so far behind on scoring.
Yeah, that was an early jump by the Red Alliance, and Blue Alliance never really had enough of a push. So it should be academic, but obviously we wait till the scores are posted.
Yep, you never know. Still have some penalties that might come through. Still some referee discussion. You can see the head ref is calling for another ref to come across the field, make sure they get the calls right. Yeah, they also want to make sure they don't double call stuff.
Red Alliance starting only that 1 miss.
Yeah, and you saw that one bounce back in there, and then here we go again. The defense caused them, right, to fade back into that protected zone. That taped off area there is protected. You can't get hit while you're in that zone. So they just kind of dropped back, took the harder shot, but it was undefended.
Couldn't quite finish with all 3 robots hanging in the center structure, but
again, smart play, 27-67, kind of moving out of the way. All 3 Blue robots doing a great job in that end game. Well balanced, they all lifted at the same time. No disruptions there.
What does Blue Alliance have to correct?
It's missed shots, right? We were watching, and we saw them in their high-scoring match where they were hitting, you know, maybe 70-80% of their shots. In this match, it felt like maybe 50, maybe even under 50%.
Not a good time to lose your shooting touch.
And there are some alliances where they can afford to shoot that poorly and stay in it. They do cycle a lot of balls, so I think they were going shot for shot with the other alliance, with our #1 seed, but just not there on the makes.
Well, they're taking some extra time to tally the score, but again, these semifinals are best 2 of 3, so no reason for the Blue Alliance of Team Lance Abad, Average Joes, and Tech Bikes to panic yet. Just got to retool.
Yep. And that delay, I mean, that's indicative of the referees discussing something. But, you know, I don't think it's going to be an impactful something. They want to make sure they get the calls right, even if it's not going to change the outcome of the match. So just making sure that they have, you know, whatever the proper penalties are in the right place. You can actually see, too, there are 4 corner referees. They can all put penalties in. Sometimes they might accidentally put the same penalty in, so they're going to want to make sure to remove that if it happens.
I'm not sure if that's a leftover Halloween costume or not. They're for Team Lance Abad, but, you know,
it's definitely the mascot.
He can use it more than once a year. Why not, right?
Yeah, sure. Maybe it was the mascot costume, and now it's the Halloween costume.
Right. Smart play there. Well, our unofficial score would be a considerable win for the Red Alliance, but keyword there is unofficial as we wait for the official score. And there's the Engineers robot from Grand Blanc getting looked at. And that's one of the Robots coming up in the next semifinal event. So the scoreboard is going to show a miraculous, maybe not miraculous, but we can throw out some big words.
Wow.
Why is there so much energy right now? Well, the Red Alliance put up 191 points, and yet they're going to fall 71-ish points short of a victory. 69 points.
And that's why they were discussing it for so long.
Yeah.
There's 108 penalty
108
points.
penalty points? Have you ever seen that?
Not often. That is a lot.
G8 penalties for dumping power cells into the blue zone. Rendezvous point. 7 15 points apiece.
Okay, so here's the score. 260 to 191. It's the penalties on the left side of your screen. 108 points.
Yep, and
So
the
explain
announcement.
that. Yeah,
the
that we just
announcement
heard.
was that they call it the rendezvous zone or area. That's where they're going to hang at the end of the match. Now, you're not allowed to use the game pieces in
As
an attempt to
obstacles.
make it more difficult for the other alliance to go in there and hang. Apparently, 7 balls were entered into that zone. Each of those balls has been called as a separate infraction of that rule. And that's where our 108 points and penalties are coming from.
Okay, so I guess the officials determined that those balls did not end up there by accident.
Exactly. They're saying they were placed there on purpose and that it affected the ability of the Blue Alliance. Now, of course, the Blue Alliance, all 3 robots are there and hanging, so you know, how much it affected it, I'm not sure, but it is a penalty. It is against the rules.
Well, things can turn very quickly here as the Blue Alliance uses those penalty points and gets a big win. Let's go down in the pits and pick it up with Michelle. Mish.
Yeah, guys, here we were getting ready to interview the 1 seed, and then we find out that a huge upset just happened. Brady joining me now to talk about it. How surprised were you from the Blue Alliance to get that win against the 1 seed?
So we're the 4th alliance, so we did not think that we could beat them, but we came back. We won through penalties, but it's still a win, so we only got to get 1 more, and then we're off to the finals.
Can you explain the penalties from what you saw?
So from what I heard, I think it was having to do with putting balls in the wrong zone. So it's 106 points penalty, which boosted us to 260 points, the max points we've had in the competition so far.
Bring us onto the floor with you after you guys saw the reaction. Your team won. What happened on the floor?
I started jumping. I started hugging the other alliance. People I didn't even know. I started high-fiving. It was insane. I expected to see red, saw blue, and I just absolutely lost it.
I think we all did. What kind of confidence does this give you guys now?
Well, now we think we can do it. We came in, we saw these teams and we're like, okay, they're number one for a reason, but obviously we can do it. So it's incredible.
Okay, now knowing what you know about the 1 seed, what's the biggest challenge that you're up against that you have to come back and win another game against them with?
So now they know what they were doing to get those penalties. We have to show them that they scored a lot more points than we did in the actual tele-op. So we have to prove that we can either score more than them or play better defense on them, because they beat us in autonomous hands down. We couldn't get over that for a while.
How do you beat a team like that that's putting up so many points? How do you defend against that?
Basically, they have all those safety zones we can't cross into, so we just have to stay on the white line, not let them push us into those areas. Otherwise, they get 15 points every time we go in there and we touch them. So basically, just cutting off the access to the balls and scoring as many points as we can.
All right, Brady. Well, thanks so much for the time. Go hug your teammates. I know you're busy. Guys.
All right, Mish, thank you. We have a timeout here with another semifinal match coming up in a moment from First Robotics Game Day here in Michigan. Let's listen in on a message from one of our corporate sponsors, Consumers Energy, talking about careers in energy.
I got into energy because I really love playing around with cutting-edge technology and saw the opportunity to apply that in the energy industry. Now, I think, is the most exciting time in the history of our utility and in the electricity and energy industry as a whole. I love my job because I'm getting to play around with cutting-edge technology and figure out how to integrate that technology on the grid.
I got into energy because I have always been a problem solver, and that led me to engineering. I like that the work I do, I know that it is meaningful and impactful to the energy that we deliver to our customers. There's a lot of things that are behind the scenes that people don't see from an energy supply perspective and an IT perspective in areas that I've worked in the past. But I know that those are necessary to deliver energy to our customers.
I got into energy because it's a viable resource and a daily necessity for our everyday lives. It also gives me the ability to be creative and leave a mark on all communities that I touch. Those wells, based on the training and the experience that we have been taught here at Consumers, stand the test of time, and it's something that we can show to our children, grandchildren, etc.
Yeah, the joint is jumping here as we will move into our next semifinal match. That was a very eventful first semifinal match. Second one, probably not quite as eventful.
We'll
penalty
see.
points,
but
right?
Yeah,
you never know.
108 penalty points is quite a lot.
Yeah, quite a bit. So here is what we have for our second semifinal match. Number 2 against number 6.
Yep, number 2 put up an average of 122 points in their quarterfinal matches. They scored 122, 124, 121. So they've been consistent within a few points there. And a very close matchup, number 6, the opposite, right? They put up 142, then 99, then 155. So which version of the number 6 alliance are we going to see here? We're going to see the one that's, putting up mid 100-point scores, making their shots, making their climbs, or are we going to see the one that had some trouble in match 2 of the quarterfinals?
And again, these teams will continue to push to get to the state finals. That will be in April at Saginaw Valley State, but there's still many stops to be made between now and then.
Yep, we have 6 weeks of events. This is only week 1. So we'll be doing this 5 more times, and then the top 200 teams in the state will qualify for that state championship at Saginaw Valley State.
Here is the Blue Alliance. The Robotarians, Trisonics, and the Autobots.
Yep, and we're just watching. We're watching for that, how good is the shot in this match for Coloma and Allendale. When they're on, they're good. When they're off, that 99 they put up was the lowest, second lowest score in the playoffs so far. Number 2 alliance, been consistent, but consistently low, right? Only 120 points on average. They're going to also have to pick their game up a bit.
Yeah, it's all about evolving and, not resting on any laurels, for sure. As the 3 Red Alliance robots, we take a close look at all the months of planning, execution, wiring, testing, etc., all hopefully start to pay off this weekend.
Yep.
And continue going forward. Trisonics has been a steady shooter all afternoon long. They unload 2, and the next 2 go a little bit high.
It was a good job. They picked those up off the floor in autonomous mode, which is impressive, but doesn't count anything if it doesn't go in the hole.
Right. So a good, comfortable lead, about 20-ish points for the Blue Alliance as we move into Teliop.
Coming back, some good shots.
Yeah, that's a lot of Autobots.
Yeah, and they shoot hard, too, so they have a good chance at that inner goal for the extra bonus point there. Again, 3 points if it goes inside the inner goal, 2 points if it goes just inside that hexagon high goal, and 1 point in the low goal down the wall.
12 trotters for the Red Alliance, reloads, resets, fires, makes 2 of 4.
Yep, we're seeing some decent defense being played. Again, 65-88, just trying to make life a little bit difficult. But the Robotarians, they're getting into that protected zone in front, making a bunch of shots.
Hammerhead's working down on the low goal.
Yeah, taking a long time getting lined up there.
It's not time efficient.
And we know they've got that bank shot, right? Kind of right up against that layup almost, but I think the balls are jammed inside the robot, and I think they've given up. So they're either going to look to get another ball to clear the ball jam out, or they're going to be switching to defense here.
Yeah, interesting strategy with, yeah, looks like their balls are in their proper place, but they're not ready to shoot.
Yeah, just would not feed forward to the shooter. So, yeah, they have taken up a defensive role. You know, and they've got that swerve drive. They're very maneuverable, but having not played much defense yet, who knows, you know, how effective they're really going to be.
Globetrotters fires again, and now is ready to hang. Red Robots, or Red Alliance, I should say, have 2 of 3 robots in position to hang. Will they go for all 3?
Yep,
looks
Red
like they're going to go for the trifecta. Yep.
They're down, well, it looks like 19 points going into this end game. They've got to hang all 3 if the Blue Alliance hangs 2.
And off they go. Can they level that bar? That's what Red Alliance wants to do here.
Yeah, Blue gets only 1 hanging robot. Blue's bar is not level. Red's bar, 3 hanging robots. I am going to say that's not level. Hard to tell. Again, 8%. It can be 8% or 8-degree angle. It can be on an 8-degree angle, but you know, I think that one's a little bit past. But I think it's enough anyway, because 3 hanging robots, that's going to be 75 points in the end game. Blue looks like they're coming out of the end game with only 30, and I don't think they had a 40-point lead.
And we didn't see maybe the kind of offense we thought we might see. So the scoring will come in a little bit lower than expected in this second semifinal match, but the first between these 2 alliances.
Yeah, this Red Alliance has been putting up a lot of points in the end game. But I think they really took a hit in kind of the teleoperated, the main phase of our match on shooting, because that ball jam that we saw on that Troy robot. So 4 balls in there, they just could not get them to move forward in the system. And we'll see. I mean, I think it's enough for this match, but it's not going to be enough, you know, if they move on, or it's not going to be enough in their next match. So some shots there. Making 1 of 3. They made a few more after that in autonomous mode. That was good. 29-59. When they get to that layup spot, too, they're really, really good at finishing.
Well, Red Alliance, you know, again, you know, sometimes you can be satisfied to win, but when you know the big picture is we got to get better.
Yeah, yeah. And that, I mean, that's important, right? You know, It's nice to win a semifinal match. It's nice to make it to the finals, but you don't want to go there and just get killed. So if you can make changes, sometimes your best chance of winning the event is actually messing with something that's kind of working right now in order to get something that works better.
Yeah, you got to see the big picture. And here we go with Red Alliance putting away a 117-91 win. Yeah, end game is where the swing comes.
Yeah, they needed pretty much all of those robots hanging. Looks like 117-91. So that's a 26-point victory there, 26-point margin of victory. They guess they could have dropped 1 of those hanging robots down and still been okay. But Blue is close, right, to getting another robot in the zone as well. So we'll see. Blue's got to do a better job of coming back, getting those hangs at the end, or getting some extra shots. I know they talked about wanting to shoot instead of hanging at the end, but I think we've reached the point where they've got to go for the double hang. And Red, you know, score a few more power cells, and they're looking good.
Let's jump down in the pits again and rejoin Michelle McMahon. Michelle?
Spencer from Team 6588 joining me now, talking about the triple hang. The first time this season that you guys have been able to accomplish that. How were you able to get it done?
Okay, so it was all through teamwork and cooperation in our alliance to enable us to hang the triple hang.
Yeah, absolutely. What else was the difference maker for you guys? The end game seems to be bailing you guys out time in and time again. How do you improve the offense to balance things out?
So our team 6588 is mostly defense. And as you can see, we were crashing into everybody.
The enforcers, we could call that in this game, per se. What was the overall team perception after this kind of win?
We are just amazing with teamwork, and we would like to hopefully get to finals and maybe even win.
What else do you want people to know about your alliance, your team that you were explaining to me before this?
Nothing really.
All right, we'll end on that note. Spencer, thanks so much. Guys.
All right, Michelle. Well,
hit
robots,
the
one thing about those interviews is the emotions are usually very raw and emotional. So, that's what these, you pull these kids right out of the heat of the moment, and then we talk to them, and, emotions are always different and unique, so.
And they're literally coming right off. They just saw that score announcement when we did, so.
Right, there's no cool down. And we will go back to our third semifinal match, which features the Tech Vikes, Average Joes, and Team Lancebot.
Yep, winners of our first semifinal match here. Again, thanks in part to the referees. Got a lot of penalty points
penalties
there.
Well, the good news is for the Red Alliance, that's an easy fix.
Yeah, don't do that again.
Yeah, right. Yep. Lesson learned.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the pressure is still going to be on the Blue Alliance. The Red Alliance feeling a little bit, because now they came into this matchup thinking, hey, we can win too. We're the better alliance. But now they've already lost one. Anything goes wrong, that could be the tournament.
Margin
a broken robot, a flipped robot, a missed hang, that could decide it. So they got to play perfect from here on out.
Margin for error has shrunk considerably.
3, 2, 1.
And we start autonomous. Blue Alliance missing one shot, but very aggressive there. Tech Vikes, oh boy, they're shooting all over the place.
Yeah, really, really good from Red as well. A lot in that inner goal.
Average Joe's not shooting well in autonomous. And they got a hole to dig out of here.
Yep, some of those points coming late. Red Alliance actually shot so many balls into that inner port that it jammed up a little bit. It took them a few seconds to clear that out. And we have a not moving robot. That is Tech Vikes, I believe. 2054 has lost connection to their robot. In blue in the middle of our field. Yeah, and you can see
Team
that
Lancebots, all right, now it's shooting. I think they were waiting to see what, they give a little nudge to Tech Vikes, but.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye. We have field techs over there with the Tech Vike robot. They're taking a look at it now. I know this Tech Vikes robot has had an issue related to this in the past, and I wonder if that's what's coming back to get them. So now, 3620's got to play like the best robot in the world to keep this close.
Oh, and there's a bad shooting stretch by Strike Force. Too close, too high. It's like they're running into each other. Now they get a little bit of separation. And they get some successful shooting there from Engineers.
Yep, good shooting by the Engineers, getting some of those inner ports.
So this basically is opening the door wide open for the Red Alliance. Blue Alliance down with one robot, that's Tech Vikes.
And if the issue is what I think it is, that robot will not come back this match. There are some reboots and stuff like that where you might be out for 30 seconds to a minute and come back and play. This one I think is going to end the match where it is. So let's see. 3620 doing a good job. They're scoring, but
when you lose one robot that early, it's going to hamper everything that you can do in the Red Alliance.
And this is almost practice for Red now, right? Let's see if they can execute their endgame climb. They probably don't need it, but it's good practice for them in the next match, assuming Blue comes back strong in that one. So we'll see. We've got a missed hook on the right there. That's 5980, and it just came off. They're going to get two, though.
Yeah. Well, it's lucky they didn't throttle off one of the other two.
Right, yeah. Or get hooked to their partner, right?
Yeah.
If they had hooked on their partner, that might have ended up being, a lost hang as well.
Yeah.
But as it stands, endgame looks even. Two robots hanging. Neither side is level. So Red's big lead looks to hold up.
And the Blue Alliance, having lost Tech Vikes early in that semifinal, that's going to put them in a bad spot.
Yeah, and it's almost more pressure when your robot is not working right. You know what I mean? So if you're playing the match and you're losing the match, you can make some adjustments, you can come back, you can say, here are the things we're going to do, but when you can't trust the machine that you need to perform, you know, that can rattle drivers even worse than just losing a match.
Right.
So we'll have to see if they can calm down, solve the problem, and come back out and execute in what looks to be, you know, the rubber match coming up. And at the same time, right, that was a great gift for the Red Alliance coming into this match. We talked about how they were the better alliance, they are the better scoring alliance, but no margin for error. They had a whole match now to calm their nerves, even it back up, get comfortable again.
Right, but the flip side of that is you don't want to get false confidence either.
That's true.
Because you know that hopefully Blue Alliance will make the necessary adjustments. Yeah, that's been a very bizarre first two semifinal matches between these two alliances.
Yep. We'll see. Hopefully we get a clean one for match
exactly.
3.
I'm sure they'd both like that, wouldn't they? So 2 semifinal matches between these two alliances are done. So here's how it starts for the Red Alliance.
Yeah, just look at how many are going in that inner hole. And you can almost see it. If you look around right on the edge, you can see them running over and trying to clear some of those balls. They shot them in too fast.
And the Red Alliance just kept pounding away. And at this point, Tech Bikes is stationary, and it's pretty much a free ride for the Red Alliance. Here's the hang. Watch that thing fly off.
It looks like, you know what? I think if they had backed out slower, there's a chance that hook might have held on, kind of grappling hook style.
Fast, right.
But they were just getting clear of the zone so their partners could go up and hang, so they went fast. Which, you know, in a match like this, that's fine. Playing safe when you're ahead is usually the right decision.
And there's our final. Again, a lopsided win for the Red Alliance. Almost 90 points.
Yeah, we're looking at, what, 70,
most of them in the power
points.
cell because Tech Bikes.
Or 89 points.
Yeah.
So, you know, power cells, right? Tech Bikes would have added a bunch there. And we've also seen that alliance triple hang with the Tech Bikes' ability to move on the bar to level the bar out. So that's another 25 plus 15, another 40 endgame points left on the table. You get those 40 points, you get another 20, 30 scoring in power cells, and it's a competition again. And, you know, of note, the 176 from our Red Alliance, like, that's not a great score for them. You know, they put up a 209, and they were playing 3-on-2 and only put up a 176. So, you know, showing some holes there as well in their game.
Down in the pits we go as we rejoin Michelle McMahon.
So much. Jack from Team 5980 joining me now from the 1 seed. Jack, this has been a fluky series between both teams, so let's first begin with the first game where you guys got all of those penalties. How do you explain what happened in that game?
So our strategy was to dump the balls to Strike Force and Engine Nerds. Little did we know that it's actually against the rules to dump the balls into the rendezvous point. But we got it all figured out in game 2, and we're back in it.
Lesson learned, which is a valuable thing to learn at this point in the season. What went well in this game to overcome that and to tie up the series?
I think we just kept our minds straight. We really just tried to do our best and play some defense while our alliance partners scored. So it was just all around a good match.
What's the conversation like in between series where you guys were trying to communicate, figure out what was happening, and to re-strategize?
Yeah, it was definitely a little chaotic. We had let's see. I don't know. It's all just hitting me right now. We were ranked 38 before we got to this alliance, and now we're here. So we're trying to just do the best we can.
That's really cool. So what has the emotion been like for your team to have been kind of the underdogs in this scenario to now the top rank?
Yeah, it's been crazy. We're just excited. We're ecstatic. We're just stoked to be here.
So what's going to be the key then for the final game between these two teams?
I think if we just keep playing how we have been and putting balls in the goals, and I think we're set to score more points.
And no dumping, all right?
Yeah.
Jack, thanks so much for the time.
Thanks so
much. All right, guys, back up to you.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Good stuff. We'll come back and talk to some of the people responsible for putting on this great event here at St. Joseph High School. We'll take a break and come back with more. It's the first Robotics Game Day here in Michigan. Tom Bruce is the St. Joseph High School superintendent. Right now he tells us about the challenges and the logistics of putting on an event of this scope and scale.
Well, you can look at the stands. We have, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars into our community just because everybody's here. 40 teams are here today. And this is amazing for our community. It's a dead of winter, pretty much, People are starting to slow down. Our skin's getting more pale, but at the same time, we have lots of people in town, and it's a good thing for all of us.
Midwest Warriors, right? What makes you so passionate about FIRST Robotics and the way these kids come together to compete, but also to collaborate in this fashion?
Well, what I love about this program is you have coders, you have builders, you have pilots, you have marketing, and you have all kinds of kids that have a lot of great abilities or passions, and they all come together in one spot, and then it's great competition, a little bit of robot carnage out there, so this is a good thing.
What do you think will set these kids apart in terms of when they look ahead to their careers and the kind of experience that they're gaining that they'll be able to leverage as they move ahead to college and to their careers? And as somebody like you who's well-versed in a lot of schooling and a lot of advanced career stuff, how do you see this playing out for these kids?
I can tell you even what I've heard, and the students tell me this is their passion, this is what they love, and I said, so how does that go along with what you learn in class? I mean, should our classes be more mirroring of what you do here? And they actually say no. They said what the classes do is they kind of give you that base and groundwork, the real nooks and cranny, the roots of all that, the math and the science, and that helps them do better here. So they wouldn't change the school classes so much. But what I've also heard is these students do really well at Michigan Tech, U of M. They go to these technical schools. I saw Lawrence Tech up on the screen, a couple of shout-outs for my friends over there. There's a lot of great places these kids go, and a lot of times they have scholarships, and then right out of school, of course, because there's a lot of open jobs out there right now. These kids are getting into these engineering firms and places really quick. Matter of fact, Eleanor from Whirlpool was here yesterday, and she said, continue doing this, you guys, you're great, and maybe one day you can work for Whirlpool. So, they're looking for great kids like this that can work with these small appliances, as Mark Bitzer says, the CEO of Whirlpool, and do the coding and do the stuff in the cloud and all this other stuff. So it's good stuff for all of our kids.
It's almost like a scouting combine when it comes to careers.
It really
you
is.
have these executives that are looking at these kids as potential future employees, and I would imagine from a student's perspective that has to be exciting for them to look ahead to say, wow, I have all of this to look forward to.
Yeah, think about athletics. When you're hiring kids or you're hiring young adults, I hear a lot of my friends say they look for students and student athletes, because they're part of a team, they're part of setting their own goals, reflecting their goals. So think about this, same kind of thing, but in a technical setting. So it's a lot to offer there.
What do you think this means to the kids that you have communicated with and the feedback you've gotten?
Oh, wow. I think it's different for all of them. One, they just love being part of the team. They love this competition that we're seeing behind us. They love the problem-solving skills. And then they all know that there's probably some sort of future pathway for them. And they don't even know what it is, but they know it's out there.
All right, Tom. Well, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, it takes a whole lot of people, a whole lot of manpower to put on these events. And as Tom just said, everyone benefits. So absolutely. Yeah, so we got, another semifinal coming up in a little bit.
Yep, setting up. We're going to have Alliance number 2 versus Alliance number 6. Just as I'm kind of totaling up scores here, I just noticed Alliance number 2's average score from the 4 matches that they've played, 121 points. Alliance 6, their average score through their 4 matches, 121.75. So 3/4 of a point right now is all that separates the scoring of these two alliances.
And we roll into our 4th semifinal with a chance for the Blue Alliance to, they got to win to stay alive.
To stay alive.
Red Alliance is in good shape. This is the All Autobots, Trisonics, and Robotarians. So they are on their heels just a little bit after losing the first semifinal match to this Red Alliance. I kind of like these little pregame routines.
Yep.
These guys go through. Here's the Red Alliance, the Hammerheads, the Globetrotters, and the Counter Torque Robotics.
Yep, Red won the first matchup 117-91. And we've seen this from Blue before, right? 90-point match, then 150-point match. So if we can get the 150-point match, we might be in for another tiebreaker.
They need some consistency and stability.
This is a robot to watch, 51-52. That's been their defensive robot, the Alata bots out of Otsego. And that's going to be the key robot. I mean, if they do come back in this matchup, right, you know, you're going to need that defensive robot, especially in the finals, but they're going to need it, I think, to make the comeback here. Looks like it's
most everybody's set, but what's the holdup?
Yep, 29-59. And again, I'm guessing camera because it's almost always a camera. But again, they're over in the pit or in the driver's station checking out the laptop. We do see full connection to the field. There's actually the stack lights in front of each team. If they're blinking, it means there's no connection. You can kind of see it there with the orange at the bottom and then two clear ones. If that were blinking, they wouldn't be connected to the field. Before the match, when it turns off, that means they are connected. So because they're still working on something over there in that driver's station, it's going to be camera or it's going to be their game pads or joysticks aren't working. And since nobody's playing with the game pads, I'm voting for camera.
Okay. We'll keep tabs on how this unfolds. And yeah, these are anxious moments. You know, there's enough to worry about without having any mechanical flaws to address.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, it's like, oh, and I see cameras, so I think we're good. But it's like any other sport, right? You don't really want to win because your opponent in tennis had to retire from an injury, right? You want to play the whole match out
at full strength.
At full strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they've got it up. I think they're just resetting some of their initial stuff. Sometimes you'll pick autonomous modes and things like that.
You can see those lights on the right side of that robot, and some are not consistent. Did you just mention that? Is that
those lights
indicating anything
the team
or no?
put on there? I think they use those lights to help them line up.
Okay.
But,
oh, there we go.
That's just a fancy team sign.
Just an angle, okay.
Yep. I've seen some teams in the back, they'll use those lights, and if the right side lights up, it means turn right. If the left side lights up, it means turn left.
All right, well, that's smart engineering, and off we go.
Okay, 2 of 3 from 4003.
Red Alliance a little bit slow, and they're not shooting well.
3 of 3 from the Robotarians, 226.
They're going to relocate, and boy, this Red Alliance...
We saw that happen once before where the Hammerheads did not fire in auto mode.
Boy, 10 points is not a good start in autonomous. They got some work to do.
And we'll see. This is where we saw the Hammerheads having shooter issues in a previous match, too. If they can't get those balls to move, we might see them shift back to defense, and it's going to be an uphill battle.
Globetrotters just shooting off the mark. Red Alliance is not in a good place. They're going big time on defense right now.
226 actually crossing the field there, not yet to play defense. They came back so they could be in front of their drivers. So they had good vision to try to clear the jam, but it looks like they could not. And now it looks like they're taking up a defensive posture.
Red Alliance finally starting to get some consistency on offense. 3 straight makes. By that hammer, by the Globetrotters robot, but boy, they're still way down.
They're now alone on offense. I don't think 65-88 is going to be able to add enough offensive firepower to help. So they're sticking on defense, which means it's the 59-27 show here on Red.
They're kind of a one-man band offensively in Blue Alliance.
Oh, and to make matters worse, 226 just disconnected from the field. So something on that robot is probably rebooting. We'll see if they can make it back in time to hang.
And again, here comes a big window of opportunity for the Blue Alliance. And, you know, all it does is really just take away any sense of urgency.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, play safe, right? You're up 50 points. Right. You've got a robot advantage. Just make sure you don't miss your endgame hangs, and it should be your match. So don't go late.
We say Globetrotters is going to have to pull out everything to keep Red Alliance competitive, and even they're like, hey, forget it. We're going
Hammerheads are back.
Okay.
And they're out again, so there is a wire on that robot that is not making good connection, and it's caused it to reset twice. But a good hang by Red. Blue needs to get somebody up, I think. Missed shots by 4003. And I don't think 2959 got up on the hang, and they might have given it away in the endgame.
Wow, this was a strange semifinal match.
And so we can see from that 2959 robot that we're looking at now is definitely on the ground right now. They were in the air briefly, I think, but I don't think they stayed up in the air long enough for the hang to count. So instead of 25 points for hanging, it's going to be 5 points for parking in the area. Looks like Blue's got 2 parked, so that's going to be 10 points, but Red's got 2 hanging, and that's going to be 50 points. We're going to see a 40-point swing here. It's going to be very close.
So here's our highlight package. We're not going to see many highlights from this Red Alliance.
Yeah, no missed shots by 5927 and no shots from 226. So we got to see that a little bit better. Some made shots there and another miss. But at this point, 226 already coming back to try to figure out what was wrong with their robot. And we can see them here doing that. Meanwhile, Blue making some shots. Pretty good, 3 out of 5 there. And our lone offensive robot left on Red did sink a few here, but too little too late, I think.
Well, they're just putting the final score up on the board here for the crowd. And they talk about winning ugly.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, they almost gave it away in the end game. We're looking at an 89 to 87 point win for Blue, a 2-point win when the Red Alliance was essentially down a robot the entire match. Those endgame points, you can see it's 65 endgame points to 10. And you know what? Blue, you won, you're going to have a third match. It's 1-1 now, but we can't see that for endgame points. You know, if you're going to have that few endgame points, you need power cell points to be closer to 100 to have a chance. So they're going to have to figure that hang out, and they're going to have to figure it out quickly. Meanwhile, you know, 226, the Hammerheads over here, they've got to figure out their robot. So a lot of pressure on both sides to come back for the tiebreaker match.
Yeah, this is definitely wide open. So both of our semifinals are going to go to a third set. And that will make it very interesting. Still lots of work to do. And certainly between these two alliances that just played, there is an air of uncertainty on both sides.
Yeah, if you look at quarterfinal results, this should not be this close, right? Especially our #1 alliance dropping one. So we're going to get some extra matches, free matches here as we go to 3 in both of these semifinals.
And most of the time, by the time we get to Saginaw Valley State in April, a lot of these kinds of bugs have been kind of figured out one way or the other, right?
Yeah. You know, a few will introduce themselves later in the season as the robots take some wear and tear and match damage. But on the whole, they're going to get more robust because, you know, 226, they're going to figure out what's wrong with their robot. They're either going to figure it out in time for the next match or they're going to figure it out in time for the next tournament. But they're not going to stop until they have that issue solved.
So we go back into the pits as we join Michelle. Mish?
Yeah, Celeste from the winning side just won by an inch. How was your team able to create that minute degree of separation, Celeste?
Okay, so like fun story, in like the last match before this match, our hanging system actually like broke. So we were like, oh, okay, we'll just shoot a bunch of power cells until like we get to end game, and then we'll just keep shooting. And so I think the one little power cell that we got before, like when we would have started to hang, that was the power cell that made the difference in this match to make us win.
That is crazy. This one has really been neck and neck the entire series. So what do you think the difference maker is when you look ahead to game 3?
I think it's gonna depend on like the other teams and our teams, because I feel like the other team was having some trouble with their like getting the robot to work, and they were having like some problems, and there was a lot of defense going against our team, but we were still able to like push through that and get our like points scored. And our team was having its problems too, but we were able to like look past that, and we got enough to like make us win, and I'm really happy about that.
Yes. What was the celebration like here on the sideline when your team won?
I could hear everyone up in the stands, and they were just kind of like shouting, and then I got to see all the faces of the drive team as soon as like we won, and they were, you could like see that they were like, oh my gosh, we just won.
I love it. Well, Celeste, thank you so much for the time, and best of luck to you the rest of the way.
Thank you,
guys.
Michelle, thanks, and yeah, we'll keep an eye on these two teams as we now have our first chance to get a team into the finals. The winner of this Blue Alliance, Red Alliance match is going into the finals. Tech Bikes, Average Joe's, Lancebot.
Yep, good match out of them, and then a very bad match. We're going to watch that 2054 Tech Bikes robot, see if they can stay connected for the whole match this time. We saw them drop out fairly early in the last match.
And the flip side, the Red Alliance Engineers, Strike Force, and East Grand Rapids Robotics.
And again, I mean, some big scores from them. 176 in the last match, 191 in the match before that. So I think, you know, they're running the way they need to run.
Would you say inconsistency has been the theme throughout these quarterfinals, semifinals?
For sure.
Yeah.
Our most consistent alliance, though, is this #1 alliance. But again, I mean, you know, you look at 176, that's a good score. That puts them up, you know, one of the top scores of these playoffs. But they did it 3v2. So you almost want to see a little bit bigger of a blowout in that scenario.
So some anxious moments. They're working on the Blue Alliance robot, 4237. That would be Tech Team Lancebot.
Yep, looks like they rebooted it, so something probably did not come up. Again, probably the camera. And now we're going to wait for it to kind of reset and see if that gets everything working. So we can see once you power the robot on, it takes a little under a minute for the systems to boot all the way up and for it to connect to the field. But we can see it is connected now. And still not happy, so I think they're looking for that camera.
And this is not really uncommon for, you know, where we're at in terms of the season.
Yeah, there's a bunch of little details that are easy to get wrong with the camera. If you kind of just try to use it in the default way, you might run into some of those troubles. But that's what, you know, we're getting fixed down here. So the field staff, the technical staff here, we have plenty of support for teams. They're going to try to get all of the details dialed in right so that it works more consistently as we move forward.
How much time do we usually think these kids will spend on these machines during a week?
Oh, man. It's almost a job. It's almost a full-time job. You'll have some teams that meet every day, you know, 6 or 7 days a week, maybe 3-4 hours on weekdays, and a full day on Saturday.
And they have to set up, do they try and set up some sort of a mock game field to test them?
It varies widely based on the teams, but I can tell you that the teams with more resources will put a lot of that into getting some space for a carpet and building as much of a field as they can. Some teams have a full field at their shop. And that's, I mean, it's a huge advantage being able to go and practice and see what it's going to feel like when you're out on the field, get the sight lines down. A lot of the times people will practice, they'll build like a goal to shoot at, but they'll practice, you know, with the drivers on the side of the field right next to it. And then all of a sudden they come here, they're 50 feet away instead of right next to the robot, and there's a whole nother learning curve that has to happen.
Yeah, obviously in any practice, the more you can recreate authentic game-like conditions, the more advantageous position you are in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just like any sport, right? Same rules apply. Well, it looks like they did another reset of something. And we're going to go with it as it is. I don't think it's working. So I think they're going to go without the camera working. So we'll see again. 4237 is kind of the third shooter on that alliance.
It's go time.
And they did hit their auto mode shots, right? Because that started lined up.
Yeah.
But Red, you know, getting those inner scores, it's close, but they've got an edge.
Yeah, they both performed well in autonomous mode.
And we'll see 23-37 just kind of getting hung up on a ball. They're taking a little bit longer here to floor load than I'd like to see from them. That's better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Average Joe's loading up.
Joe's is loading up. Yeah.
And we'll see the defense by 59-80, right?
Red
East
Alliance,
Grand Rapids. Definitely earned themselves a missed shot there.
Boy, Red Alliance, Blue Alliance, all three of their robots shooting at one goal pretty much at the same time. You just can't defend all three.
No, you can't. Couple missed shots there, though, so Red is creeping out ahead. I think nobody's keeping up right now with Strikeforce's rate. Although, whoa, Strikeforce kind of spinning for no reason there. That was probably a sensor issue. And they lost the ball.
All business for Red Alliance. Wow, look at that run. Red Alliance piling up points.
Blue answering.
Yeah, Blue Alliance trying to catch up. It's going to make things very interesting down the stretch.
Tech Bike's 0 for 5 on that salvo, on that volley there. That's not good enough.
And Red Alliance just really isn't bothered by all that much at all right now.
And we'll see, it's still close. Red is starting to pull away. We need Tech Bike's a little bit better there, 2 of 5. Tech Bike's has got to put a full load in this goal. They got to keep it within end game score.
We'll see if any robots make their way to that center structure for the hang.
36-20, putting 5 of 5 in at the very end. I think that's going to make it close enough that they can win if Red misses their end game.
Blue Alliance says we are not done yet. Inside 20 seconds. Red Alliance squeezing a few more baskets out. Now it's time to hang.
Blue has got 2. I think Blue's got 3.
Blue's going to go for
Red
all
misses
3.
1.
They're in the air.
Red misses 2. Red's only got 1 hanging. This might be a Blue victory. Blue has 3 up and it's level. That's 90 points. It's only 30 for Red. I don't think they had the lead for that. It's a 60-point swing in the end game, and we might have an upset.
What a huge finish for the Blue Alliance. Maximum points in center structure scoring. The key, that level of the center structure bar, that is going to carry them to what we think is a semifinal win here.
And Blue has had the advantage in endgame, I would say, for most of their matches. The key was they had to make enough shots during teleop to keep it close. 36-20 came up big at the end, hitting 5 of 5 at the last second before going for that hang. And, you know, 20-54 was doing enough. They could shoot a little better than they were, but they were doing enough. And here we see Red just nailing those shots in the back.
Red hot start for the Red Alliance.
Yep. And that's what you had to come back from. And look, 27-67, Strikeforce is already back before auto finishes with 2 more balls and shooting them. We see Blue here answering back in auto mode. But that, I mean, that's what they had to keep up with. That Strikeforce robot, they're across the field, they're back across the field. And here's where we had all 3 shooting at once. Yet, there's some defense being played, but again, you can't defend all 3. Good shots from both sides. Those were some nice deep shots by the average Joes. And here's the hang. We can see 59-80 is going to miss first, and then Strikeforce is going to miss second on the near ground. So they fell out. They gave up. Strikeforce couldn't get the hook set. They gave up. And, you know, I think that's too much to overcome in the end game.
So it's on to the finals for the Blue Alliance, but it was not a one-sided victory by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
They put up almost 400 points between the 2 of them.
Yeah, wow, okay. So there's some stuff to break down here. 200 to 183 Blue victory. So that is a Blue upset victory. That stands. 45-point edge in the end game. But there were penalties too, and the penalties could have decided it. So we can take a look here at the end game. Power cells, obviously, to our Red Alliance, 123 to 77. Yeah. Blue came back, evened that out in the end game with that 90 to 45 that we've been talking about. This is a 17-point victory. There are 18 points in penalties that Red gave the Blue Alliance. And that's going to do it. So that was going to be a tech foul and a regular foul.
Emotions running high down in the pits as we rejoin Michelle.
Well, perhaps the biggest upset we've seen so far today. It is the biggest upset we've seen so far today. Will from Team 3620, the Average Joes. Your reaction said it all, jumping up and down as you saw the results. How does it sound to you to have upset the 1 seed to go to the finals here today?
Well, it's really incredible. I'm in charge of knowing what every other team can do, and Strikeforce and Engine Nerds are the 2 greatest teams at this event.
So how are you able to do it?
It's just our strategy. Just being able to shoot well and do a triple climb really settles it for us.
So it almost seems like the first game was a little fluky in terms of them getting so many penalties, but that created some confidence for you guys to come back and win this third game. How much of it was a mind game, too, for the team to build that confidence and to say, hey, anyone can win this game?
Yeah, it's really incredible. After our first game, we actually had another guy who does data analysis come back and said that we were outscoring them in the teleop phase. So now that we knew that we were actually outscoring them and it wasn't just the penalties that helped us win, we really just stepped on it and we won.
For people that aren't here to see the celebration, explain to us what you just saw from your teammates and from everybody that was celebrating your victory.
It was almost rough. We were running around, hugging each other really hard, jumping up and down 6 feet in the air. It was great.
What's the significance of this for you guys?
Well, the last time we won this event was in 2017, and we haven't been even finalists since. So to come back and actually have a decent chance at winning, it's really great.
All right, well, we appreciate your time. Best of luck to you guys in the finals.
Thank you.
All right, guys, back up to you.
All right, thanks, Michelle. So Will is all smiles, and why not? They're in the finals, awaiting the winner of this next winner-take-all tiebreaker. Blue Alliance, Trisonics, Robotarians, Autobots. We're going mano a mano or machino a machino.
I'll take it.
That's not Spanish, but you know what I mean. Globetrotters, Hammerheads, and Counter Torque Robotics. Well, this may have been maybe a little bit inconsistent of what we've seen today, but drama-wise, it's been very, very full.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and we're going to have another good one here. Which Blue Alliance are we going to see? You know, we have a Blue Alliance that has scored 90 points 3 times and scored 150 points twice. So if the 90-point one comes back, we might see our number 2 seed in red taking it. But at the same time, this Blue Alliance, if they put up their max score, it's higher than anything red's done all tournament long.
Absolutely.
So again, 226 right in the center of our screen there. That's the robot that last match had issues. That robot could not get the balls out, could not shoot the balls, switched to defense, and was generally ineffective in that last match. If they're working, it's going to be a different story. 2959 and 4003 now, they've got to keep making their shots. They did not a great job last match. They almost gave away that broken 226 robot, that gift. Winning barely, right, 89 to 87. So they've got to make more shots this match, especially to build some momentum moving on to the finals.
You know, it's great in that interview that Michelle just had with Will. I mean, we could see him now, you know, 3 minutes afterwards, he's still bursting with smiles, shaking hands with everybody and jumping around. So, yeah, the enthusiasm is there as we start.
Yep, 226, Hammerhead did shoot in auto mode. Good sign for the Red Alliance. Blue's keeping up, though. Small advantage for red at the end of autonomous mode, but very close.
So not much point differential as we go into teleop. And again, the winner is going to be in the finals.
And we'll have to see a little bit of trouble for Allendale, 4003 in blue, trying to pick up some balls. You know, give up on that one, go somewhere else. Thank you.
Yeah, Counter Torque Robotics kind of struggling to possess just one ball. Now they get defended and pushed off by not one, but 2 Blue Alliance robots. That is tough defense.
We'll see here. Allendale, though, forced to drop back. They're going to take a longer shot from the protected area, or they're not going to. They're going to fight.
Well, this is all about defense.
For their tape line, yeah.
Hammerheads is the only one for Red Alliance looking to score. And they're going to take that bad angle shot and do very nicely with it.
Yep, and that's a question. 59-27 had been playing offense up to this point. So something may be wrong with their robot now as they have taken up a defensive posture. 4003 really battling to get position here, but you know, that's a lot of time that they are not shooting.
Red Alliance has the lead, but it's not comfortable by any stretch of the imagination. And again, the Blue Alliance trying to use some tag team defense on the counter-torque robotics robot.
Yep, 65-88, a little bit too close to a danger zone there. I think they just took a tech foul, and that's given Blue the lead. Hammerhead's back at it, but only 2 of 4.
So that's their position, though, and now they're going to sneak into that protected zone and not get another one.
20 seconds left, 15 seconds left. Who's got a hang?
Well, the hang
this is virtually tied at this point.
The hang is the thing, and the Red Alliance is waiting, and now they're going to load up and lift.
That's it.
Oh, man.
That should be it. That we heard about 4003 Allendale's broken hanger from a few matches ago. They didn't even attempt to hang. Instead, trying to line up a shot, not getting the shot. We have 2 up for Blue.
Yeah.
One up for Blue. Only one. That other one, it's kind of, we got an illusion here. Looks like they're floating, but they're on the ground. So 3 for Red, 1 for Blue. And it was virtually tied. I mean, I think it was a few points different going into endgame. So this is Red's match, barring some unforeseen penalties.
The end game might be the end for the Blue Alliance.
You might as well just go home right now.
We will tally points, and we will look back at how this one unfolded.
Yep, important that these shots are going off by 226. You know, pretty good shooting from iCademy as well. Same thing on Blue. We can see 51-52 before they switch to defense, fires a few out. There's that close-up shot, making it good. Sometime around then, I think, is when we saw that iCademy team switch from offense to defense, maybe because of a machine issue. And there's the defense.
Yeah, they just sold out defensively to make it problematic.
And this was it. Only one Blue robot goes up.
Winning time,
Hammerhead's
right
able
there.
to get in the right spot. And there it is.
Winning time for the Red Alliance. And the end game is the swing for the Red Alliance.
Yeah, you can't understate how important those end game points are. You know, these matches are going to be decided by who misses a climb at the end, and if they both make the climb, then it's down to the power cells.
Thank you to the Trisonics, to the Robo.
So the scores are final. Let's post it for everybody watching here. And again, the end game with all 3 Red Alliance robots hanging from the center structure bar.
Yep, and that's it. I mean, 90-45 in the end game. You know, it was close, right? This is a 48-point victory. They made up 45 of those in the end game, so it was 3 points different before we went to the hangs. 15-point penalty helping out a little bit. That was an illegal defense on the Red Alliance, but, you know, not enough if you're not going to get 2 robots up.
And that puts 2 of our alliances that were lower seeded, a 4th seed against a 6th seed, as we move into the finals.
2 seed, 4 against 2.
4 against 2, my bad. All right, let's swing down to Michelle and join her in the pits right now.
I had to join in on the fun with the Hammerhead, if you know what I mean, with these guys. Harshini joining me now again from the Blue Alliance, who just won that game, and you guys now set to face the top team, or the 4th team that upset the top team. What was this match, and what did it come down to for you?
I mean, this match was incredible. We managed to fix some coding issues from our previous match, which really allowed us to increase our teleop score. And then, I mean, the climb in the end, we had all 3 robots climb. It was amazing for us, and we're so excited to get through to the finals and go against the 4th Alliance.
That's only the 2nd time that the triple hang has happened. How are you guys able to orchestrate that?
I mean, so how it works out is thanks to our great swerve drive. So our swerve drive allows us to wait for our alliance partners to park first, and then our swerve drive gets us to maneuver in between them. And with it, we can climb within the last 5 seconds, which we really tried to cut down on time. And I mean, it just executed perfectly. We're so happy about getting through.
Literally came down to the final moment. So now the finals are set. What are you looking forward to in this upcoming match? What are the biggest concerns for you against a team that just took down the top 2 teams in the state of Michigan?
I mean, watching the previous alliances match, so the 4th alliance against the 1st alliance, we were pretty surprised with the outcome because the 1st alliance had a lot of credibility there. But I mean, the 4th alliance really increased their scoring points, so thankfully we fixed our coding issues, so we're looking forward to the competition, but we are a bit scared about scoring points. But I think our climb can help us out with making it back up with those points, and hopefully we do have some good results.
All right, Harshini, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
All right, Harshini, make sure you get your fin back from Michelle. She might swipe that as a little after. Yeah, we'll take a break here. Our finals are set. We are at the first Robotics Game Day here at St. Joseph High School in Southwest Michigan. Before we get to our finals matches, let's reconnect with Michelle McMahon. Earlier today, she talked with one of our corporate sponsors here at DTE.
Rich, you've been a part of this organization for 3 years in terms of your involvement with FIRST. How do you embody your role with this event?
FIRST gives us a great opportunity to think about new business challenges, how we solve the next level challenges today and in the future. And FIRST is a foray getting youth involved to solve those next level challenges. And it begins to look at our aspiration to be a force for growth in the communities in which we live and serve.
How does FIRST help bridge that gap for you guys in the future?
We look at not only being the best in the world, but best for the world. And so if we look at what we can do in our community, and the students look at what they can do in the community, a social outreach project, how do we solve climate change, how do we bridge the gap of transportation, these students are figuring those next solutions, and this is another way we can lean in heavily to improve the broader community as a whole.
You mentioned climate change. Dive a little bit deeper into what some of the real life issues that we face as a society and how projects like these are really helping to address that for the future of our country.
As you can see right now, we have Infinite Recharge as our game, and it's looking at energy and energy production and energy generation, how we provide a viable mix for the community in a real and sustainable way. This is what it's all about, and these kids are the ones that are going to be producing those solutions of the future.
We mentioned this before too, the degree of difficulty of building these robots in just 6 weeks. What have you seen from some of the youth and the impressive nature of their abilities to build on this technology at such a young age?
It's really impressive. My analogy is these are race car teams in the making. They have pit crews, they have design crews, logistics, and they have drive teams. And their ability to figure out 5 or 6 different things and perform and have to perform again and again and again, knowing that something's going to break down. They're going to have to solve in the moment and get back on the field. It's a degree of difficulty I never experienced in my youth, so it is absolutely impressive and inspiring.
And when it comes to team building and working with different people, that's also a transferable skill in the real world. Why is this inclusion so important for you in your eyes?
Diversity of background, diversity of thought, really gives that 360-degree solution, a full rounded solution that we need. We can't just think of one dimension, because one dimension aren't going to solve the problems of tomorrow. And by having such a represented group and program, everybody at our company can see themselves in that future leader that we're working with today.
I love it. No better way to put it. Rich, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
So here is the bracket. We've gotten down to 2 alliances, a 4 seed against a 2 seed.
Yeah, a couple upsets, right?
Yep.
Number 1 alliance looking dominant, had that penalty kind of gift to the Blue Alliance in the semifinals, and then Blue was able to seal it in that last match by getting their triple hang complete. Meanwhile, on the other side, 2 seed, they held serve, but it wasn't comfortable, right? Going to 3 matches in the quarterfinals, going to 3 matches in the semifinals. You know, they've had their work cut out for them. Looking kind of at the overall scoring of these 2 alliances, our number 2 alliance averaging about 120 points a match, a little over 120 points a match. The number 4 alliance, who will be wearing red, averaging almost 180, 179 points a match. Now, obviously, that's boosted a little bit by the 108 penalty points they were gifted. And, of course, we have to take into account that our Alliance 4 has been playing more defense than our Alliance 2. So we'll have to see if the defensive robot can be effective here and bring those 180-point averages back down, or whether they just can't keep up.
I would think maybe one of the challenges this weekend, Dan, is, you know, obviously you want to win, pile up points, advance, but you want your machine to be consistently right. There's just not many ways you can be successful if your machine is not reliable.
Yeah, you need that much more luck, right? If it's not working the way you need it to work. So that's something that I would look for. You know, almost all the teams on the field here, right? They made it to the finals, but 226s have been having issues. We saw 2054 disconnect for a match. 4237 has been fighting with their camera. 5927, you know, we don't know for sure, but it looked like in that last match also switched to defense, stopped shooting. That might be an issue that their robot had. And I think 6588 is the team that dropped their bumper in one of our first matches. So like almost every team on this field has something to work on, and they have been in between matches. But for sure, they've got a lot to, even if they win this event, they've got a lot to go back and say, look, we can't afford those mistakes, you know, as we get later into the season and the level of competition increases.
Another thought I just had, in terms of how these teams prepare and practice leading up to this, can you make, do teams have the resources to make extra robots that would serve as a legitimate defender?
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
Right, that's common.
A lot of teams will use their previous year's robots as that defensive robot
so they
as well.
can take all the banging and whatnot.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
Yep. The hard part is this early in the season, getting enough time to do that, right, to the level that you're going to find those issues.
Right.
This is interesting. The number 1 seed side of the bracket is going to wear the red bumpers. Typically, the higher seeded team is in red, but in this case, our number 4 alliance, the lower seeded team will wear the red bumpers. We'll see. We see 36-20. Average Joes, they were gesturing to their driver to come out of the box and come check out their robot. Looks like they want to make sure it's aligned correctly.
Of these 6 robots that we've seen,
it was backwards, by the way. That's very aligned miscorrectly. They had to spin it 180 degrees.
Sometimes the most important corrections are the most obvious ones, right? Yeah.
Looks good now.
My question, of the 6 robots that we've seen, which of these 6 to you has been the most impressive and why?
It's hard to say because the variation is so great. We've seen 226 using their swerve drive, probably the best to get around defense of the teams on the field. 36-20 average Joes, they're probably the highest volume shooter. So when they're hitting their shots, it can be devastating. 2054 might have the highest upside, but has had the most issues too.
And away we go. Kind of a slow start for blue, but they come out firing and they are hitting everything they throw up.
Yep, but here comes red back now. 36-20 reloaded, 2054 reloaded. And so we've got extra shots on the red side, and that's going to give them a lead, a sizable lead.
Oh, my. We got some machines that are very dialed in, especially from the Red Alliance.
And so now the question is, can 6588 shut down our Tech Vikes and Average Joes here?
Oh, that's the Hammerheads robot. We've seen that all day. That's probably been the most consistent robot offensively.
Yeah, I mean, I would say some of our #1 seeds might have been better.
Right.
But when they get close and they're not broken, they're not jammed, that shot's pretty automatic.
Yeah. And there's going to be an open run there for Hammerheads. And they're going to go high, and they're going to nail it again.
Yep, so remember, Red is playing all offense. 3 robots are shooting. That means 226, the Hammerheads, and our Academy team undefended. So this is what they can do. And there's a switch, 42-37, as I spoke. Switch to defense here.
Yeah, almost exclusive offense until Team Lancebot starts to put some contact on that blue Hammerhead.
And they just gave away a tech foul there, too. 226 was in that protected scoring zone. They got contacted by the Lancebot robot. It's 15 points, and that's given Blue the lead.
That's a mistake, and it's close. Those 15 points might matter very much.
Yep, they could decide it right now. It is the difference.
So we'll see what the Red Alliance can do with the Average Joe's robot shooting from distance.
And take a look at the floor, right, on the Red Alliance side. Look at all those balls. Those are missed shots, and they can't afford that right now.
They just made 1 of 2.
And a bounce out. Unlucky on that one.
Yeah.
We'll see if the Joes can put these 5 in. They're still close enough.
And it's almost time to get to that center structure and hang. 2 red robots ready to hook themselves up and elevate.
All right, Joe's going really late to the hang. Still 15 seconds left. They should be okay if nothing goes wrong.
Having a tough time getting centered in there, though.
Yep.
And we're under 10 seconds.
They're going to go with
2, yeah.
Blue's got 2 as well, so this looks like Blue's match to lose here. Maybe parked. Average Joe's maybe parked for 5 extra points, but I think they were down by more than that going to endgame. We'll see. The red one is level for sure. The blue one is a little closer. I think it's also level.
Yeah, I wouldn't be confident saying which team is going to come out ahead because there's penalty points and whatnot to be factored in here.
Yeah, and this one was close, was very close. We'll see. And again, I mean, I got a question. Average Joe's, they tried to shoot that last load of balls. They went point blank, tried to put some layups in. 2 of the balls did not come out. They shot a few. They missed most of them, and that might have cost them the triple hang. Here's that auto mode, though. You can see 3620 reloading before coming over. Blue side doing a good job, but they just shot more balls on the Red Alliance.
Yeah, sometimes shooting percentage is not as important as how many shots you get up.
Yeah, in autonomous mode especially, because getting those extra balls with the double point value is key. There's that layup from 226. Really good.
Yeah, that's just vintage Hammerheads right there. And now here's the hang.
And just a few issues, right? Like
Red Alliance could have used that hang by Average Joe's.
We talked about that earlier too. Those metal beams down there don't look like much, but it's enough sometimes to make it hard to line your robot up.
So they are tallying up all the various points, and this match did end up fairly even in terms of points. Penalty points are going to be significant as we look at the Blue Alliance win.
Yep, I mean, you know, power cell advantage and not enough in the end game, right? So they gave it up in the end game. Red Alliance really needed that triple hang, right? 70 to 65. If they got that extra robot on the bar, that's another 25 points. That wins the match for them. You know, they made some mistakes, gave some penalties away. Looks like it's a net 9 points in penalties. That wouldn't have changed the outcome of the match, but it certainly would have made it closer. And, you know, our Red Alliance not keeping up in the power cell game is something we got to keep an eye on, too. So 226 and 59-27 undefended apparently are much, much better at scoring than we've seen so far this tournament.
So a Blue Alliance win. Let's talk about that right now as we go in the pits with Michelle.
Yeah, we just talked to her. Harshidi is back with us from the second-seeded Alliance, and that was a close one once again. What was the difference maker in your eyes?
So I think the main difference maker was that we really stepped it up with our teleop scoring points. I mean, our shooter worked great throughout the entire time. We had a couple coding issues, as we mentioned earlier, but we managed to fix them. Our intake was really fluent, and our alliance partners, we also didn't have any problems with that. We were really scared at the start because we did have some fierce competition, especially with scoring and the shooters. But towards the end, we had a little bit of difficulty with our climbers the first time during this competition, but we were really lucky that our alliance partners stepped it up and made up that difference for us. So great to have another opportunity. So
yes, you're going to have another opportunity. So what other kind of adjustments will you make given what you've learned about your opponent?
So I think our main strength would be the climb, because we do know that our opponent's very strong in the teleop section. We somehow managed to beat them this time, but I think our main focus would be the climb. Because of our swerve drive, we have a very fast climb. We're able to maneuver very efficiently in between the robots. So hopefully we manage to fix our climb for the second match and make it through to the make it through to the end of the competition.
Right. Mentally, this has been such a fun ride for this team. Seemingly from your smile, what has been the environment or the team atmosphere like on your sideline?
I mean, so this competition is a really big one for us. We're also running for the Chairman's Award, which is the most prestigious award for FIRST. It's more of business outreach and spreading the word of STEAM. So we're running for that award. We're predicted to have good results, and I mean, the robot's going incredible. First competition of the season, so double blue bannering could be a really big thing for us.
All right, Harshini, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck to you in match number 2.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, Michelle, by the way, if you have an award for most energetic, hyped up speaker, I think that Harshini would win it. She's been tremendous, and we've had a lot of fun talking with all these kids. We'll have more coming up in a moment as we continue with our first Robotics Game Day from St. Joseph High School. Earlier today, let's listen back to Michelle McMahon's interview that she did with Martin Kinsella.
Guys, you could say that Martin Kinsella is the brains behind the technology we see on display in the robotics here at FIRST. And Martin, first of all, explain how Kamau has been partnering with FIRST for many years now, and what value that partnership brings to the table.
Okay, so good morning, Michelle. Yes, as Kamau, we've been supporting FIRST for maybe 20 plus years since it's created, and then as a company, we then send this machine trailer and other machine trailers with volunteers to the different events around in Southfield, down in Detroit, Ypsilanti, etc., and have done for many years. We support all the teams, and when they need something fixed, repaired, bolted, or kind of need some advice in terms of how to fix their particular product or their robot, then they come to us, and we'll then use the equipment here with the volunteers to help them achieve their dreams of actually competing in the competition.
What kind of equipment are they working with from ground zero all the way up to what we see here today?
So as part of the competition, there's like set rules and set boundaries in terms of what they have to do, and then in terms of the competition, they then have to create a concept and then come up with a solution. So they then come up with a design, they then maybe make some prototypes, and then over the course of the competitions, they become more involved with other teams, and they kind of learn from each other. And that's the great thing about FIRST, is they're collaborating to solve the problem. And then in terms of the advancement, they've got autonomous driving, they've got vision techniques out there, servo controls, etc. Very, very advanced engineering.
Martin, the brains behind the technology, also the best accent I think we're going to hear all day. Sir, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, real pleasure.
Guys.
And an honor for FIRST.
Love it.
Thanks,
guys,
Michelle.
thank you.
We are rolling into our potentially final match of the afternoon.
Yep, if if blue can win again, they will be the champions.
Did you like what you saw in that last match?
I did. Again, I mean, that's the highest score blue has scored, our number 2 alliance has scored all day. So by a lot. I mean, they put up 179. Their next highest score was only 154, and that happened to be the last match. So I think they're getting hot at the right time. We've heard from the interviews that 226 robot has had some programming bugs, and they've been working on it. And if that's really fixed up, that's making a difference.
So we will set things up for this must-have Red Alliance, Blue Alliance showdown, must have for the Red Alliance.
And for Red, Average Joe's 36-20 last match. Didn't get quite as many shots up in the air as we're used to seeing. Had some balls sticking at the end, and again, they cannot miss their hang. They need that 3-robot hang at the end. Same thing out of 2054. You know, put up a few more shots. This is a Red Alliance that should win the teleop score, right? They should score more power cells. They didn't last match, and that's some underperformance from a couple of their robots, and maybe some good defense. You know, coming through from 65-88 as well.
How about some changes that the Red Alliance would have to make?
They made one mid-match, right? They sent their third robot, 4237 Lancebot, onto defense. They did it kind of at the wrong time, though, because they drew that tech foul that sort of gave Blue the edge going to the end game. I think they got to make sure that that team is ready to play defense. They know the areas to stay away from. They know how to be careful over there. And I think they might have to do that. They might want to spring that on 226, our Hammerheads team. When they start getting in that groove, you mix it up, hit them a little bit, make life a little harder, see if you can get them off their rhythm.
And really the great thing for the teams that maybe didn't have what they think was a strong showing today is you're still going to have time to, you know, make your adjustments, make improvements, show up and show out hopefully next Saturday down the road.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, again, I mean, it's the first event for almost every team here. Every team in Michigan plays at 2 of these district events, and you collect points. If you win matches, you get some points. If you seed high, you get points. If you win the tournament, you get more points. And at the end of that, you know, we take the top 200 teams based on that points list, and that's who's going to get invited to our state championship. So all the teams we're seeing on the field now already collected a huge chunk of points for this event. In fact, most of the teams that were playing in the semifinals set themselves up pretty well for their next event. They'll have to do a little bit more, but, you know, we should hopefully see these guys come back with fixes, with better robots at the state championship.
Everybody gets a little extra time to make sure everything's as ready as possible.
Yeah, so in the finals, the same 6 teams are going to play back-to-back matches. And what happens is you got to swap the battery, you got to reset everything. Teams might be using pneumatic systems, so compressed air. They'll need time to recharge those systems. So every time between our finals matches, we kind of take a field timeout for 6 minutes to give them a little bit of time to get ready. Looks like they're almost there. Red Alliance looks all set, and Blue is just making some final adjustments to the robot. That's a lot of hands in the robot, though.
Yeah. And they're set. A Blue Alliance win will make them champions in this district event here at St. Joseph High School. And that's the Counter Tort Robotics robot getting some love from the spectators. Adults are well invested in getting creative with their costumes as well.
Is that a lunar rover or a Mars rover? I didn't. What in the middle of the helmet? I saw the Star Wars droids, but I think he's got some NASA representation there too.
Kilts, that's an interesting look.
I think those horns are from the Tech Vikes, one of the
Yes.
teams playing, although it looks like this team also Viking themed.
Yeah. Yeah, creativity is always encouraged and embraced.
Number 2, I'd like to invite both drive teams out to midfield in front of the judges for the ceremonial and hygienic elbow bump. Teams, come out, please. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Red Alliance, Team 226, the Hammerheads,
Yep. We will be doing, I guess, fist bumps instead of handshakes.
And over on the Blue Alliance.
Or elbow bumps.
Or elbow bumps.
Yeah.
5-4, the Tech Bites. Team 4237, Team Lancerbot. And Team 3620, the Average Joe. Your Whirlpool Field finalists. Give them all a big hand, everyone.
And again, there's the cooperation theme.
Yeah, you want that. Yes,
Yeah.
you want that good sportsmanship, right?
Any chance they can get to bring it out, they do.
Looks like we're just about ready, waiting on the head ref. Looks like he's checking something.
Well, looks like he's checking something electronically, too. Well, the Red Alliance is going to need a push.
And again, Blue is up 1-0, winning the first match 179 to 161. And
Thumbs up?
Yep, we're ready to go. I don't think that's a thumbs up, but that still, I think they're ready.
Autonomous is first.
Yep, 36-20 again, getting 2 extra balls before moving into position.
Red Alliance and the Tech Bites.
Yep, reloading 3.
Oh boy, that's a lot of red ball, a lot of yellow balls going in for the Red Alliance. They cleared almost 60 points in Autonomous.
Yep. Score is very similar to last match. Maybe Red a couple more points ahead, but we'll see now in Teleop, can they keep that lead? 2-6, quickly in position. But not able to empty all 5. They have to shake the balls free first.
Remember, they like that high angle or that high goal shot. Now they came out strong. Ooh, run a little bit too hard, but that was still a nice run to cut the gap to under 10.
Again, 65-88, taking up that defensive position, forcing the Red Alliance teams to shoot from farther back than they're really comfortable with right now. And we'll see 20-54, 2 of 3. Got a couple more balls to shoot, but Average Joe's, that was 1 of 5.
Boy, this score is very close. And the Blue Alliance, the 59-27 Robot, the Globetrotters.
Yeah,
Some
right
good
now.
Scores.
Right now, that defense of 65-88 seems to be making a difference. It's bought enough time for Blue to come back from the autonomous deficit and take the lead now, 72-69.
A couple of misfires by the Red Alliance. Blue Alliance, though, right on the mark. And again, they hit with the Globetrotters.
Made shots on Blue, missed shots on Red. That's the story of Teleop so far. We'll see if 20-54 can turn it around here.
Still some time for Red Alliance, but they're almost on the ropes here.
Yep, again, 1 of 3. Let's see if the Average Joe's defense is gone now. We need to see Red make some shots and get their triple hang.
And Red Alliance's defense is not up to it, and now it's time to get to that center structure and start to hang. Blue Alliance with a double-digit lead here.
Good news for Red is they're within 1 climb. If they get 1 more climb than Blue, they can still win this match.
Looks like Blue Alliance is going to get all 3 robots on there. All 6 robots are going up. Oh, 1 falls down for the Red Alliance.
42-37, their hook broke, and they're on the ground.
That's Team Lancerbot. That could be significant.
That should decide it. We can see the broken hook right there on the ground, just snapping off the end of that arm. And they were up when it happened. So that is definitely a loss of 25 points because they're not hanging anymore. Well, they still get 5 for parking, so it's a loss of 20 points there. But it also unbalanced our hanger, and that's going to be 15 more. That's a 35-point swing on that broken hook, and they were behind going into the end game.
That might be too much to overcome.
And we'll have to wait for the final scores, see what the refs are counting, see if the Blue Alliance is actually level or not, and see if there are any late penalties.
So here's our highlight reel from this past semifinal match.
Well, this is great. 36-20, you saw them load 2 before going to shoot. Then we saw 20-54 shoot and load more. That's great. That's what gave them, you know, a 25-point lead coming out of autonomous mode. Blue makes some good shots, but now here in Teleop, this is it. 2-2-6 undefended, as well as, you know, the iAcademy team undefended, making a ton of shots. And those shots from red, we can see 65-88 is forcing them away. They want to shoot closer to that white line, and they're forcing them to shoot from farther back. And those shots are just not a high enough percentage for the Red Alliance.
Yeah, that's the counter torque robotics.
Yep. And
machine.
we can watch this hook. So they only set 1 hook instead of 2.
Yeah,
it's worked in the past.
No, not this
but
time.
Not this time.
That might be it. So the Blue Alliance is going to use the end game as the swing factor in a semifinal win and a victory here in this district event at St. Joseph High School.
Yep, close match going into endgame. Blue, again, coming from behind in autonomous, actually took the lead in Teleop and iced it with those endgame points. We can see that 89-61 in the power cells in favor of Blue. At the start of the match, that was 37-23. So they were able to turn that around under driver control, and then 90-55 in the end game sealed the deal.
No penalties for either team. So that end game really was not the difference, but it kind of was the icing on the cake.
Yeah, Red needed Blue to make a mistake in the end game. Instead, Red made the mistake. Blue was perfect, and that was it. That iced it.
And that is lights out. Blue Alliance wins. Great emotion in this gym. A lot of emotion, a lot of anxious moments. Pays off for the Blue Alliance.
Coming from the number 2 seed, got stronger as the tournament went on. I mean, this, again, 189, that's that Alliance's highest score.
We're going to talk to the winners in just a moment when we come back. It's the first Robotics Game Day District event here at St. Joseph High School. First Robotics Game Day in Michigan is brought to you by DTE Foundation, Dow Chemical, Ford Motor Company, and Consumers Energy. Count on us.
It's not a flash mob. I'm joined by the 2020 district champions of St. Joseph, the second seeded Alliance, and you guys came in strong for the final game. Harshini, I know your team hasn't won districts since 2003. What's the significance of this win for you guys?
I mean, it's incredible. We are honored to have won the event. I mean, 17 years and we were able to win. I feel like all of our hard work has finally paid off, and we're honored to have competed with 69-27 and 65-88.
Well, speaking of Noah, I know your team has never won districts before, so what has this experience been like for you?
It's been great. We've really been waiting for it since last year. Hopefully it'll help us for the next coming years, and hopefully it'll help for our next regional.
Absolutely. And Ryder, dive in here. How were you guys able to create such successful synergy amongst these 3 teams in this alliance?
Oh, it was just group effort. Everyone pitched in. When we played that qualifier match with the Hammerheads, we did really well, and I was just hoping that they would pick us first round. And when they did, I was so happy, and I knew we could win.
And you did it. The energy is contagious. How would you describe what the celebration is like after this kind of victory?
I mean, you can hear us behind. Wow. We're so happy about it. I mean, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak about it. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Noah, how's your team reacting to the celebrations here?
Feels great. We came in here at 39th and ended at first.
Ryder, how is Team 59-27 celebrating this victory?
Oh, dinner and sleep. We are hungry children, and we need to sleep.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. A job well done and a successful competition. Wonderful work. Gentlemen, back over to you guys.
All right, Mish, thank you so much. And there's the winners. Very, very happy kids right there. Dan, some final thoughts from you on what we saw today.
I mean, unexpected, right? That semifinal upset by number 4 over number 1. I don't think anybody would have predicted that. Couple mistakes, though, can cost you in this game. And then that alliance getting kind of upset in the finals. I mean, I think they went into the finals looking like the stronger alliance, having higher scores. But I'll tell you, this winning alliance here, this alliance number 2, got better as the day went on. And their best matches were the 2 in the finals.
Well, that'll wrap it up here. And we say thank you to my partners, Michelle McMahon and Dan Kimura. And thanks to our great broadcast production crew on site. I'm Dan Gutowski saying so long from St. Joseph High School in St. Joseph, Michigan, where the St. Joseph District champions are the Globetrotters, the Hammerheads, and Counter Torque Robotics. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live on the ESPN app, or to watch the entire game on replay, download the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.